Yeah. Thanks always to the great Stone Loki of Loki's Mornings of Mischief for making that wonderful intro for me. By the way, everyone, if you have not subscribed to his channel, the great Loki Mornings of Mischief is his channel. Please go to his channel and do so. Link below, like the links of a lot of my good friends who are down there. Below there. You really believe that? You really think so? Yes, I love the way Avon talks. Who doesn't? Really? That sneer. Welcome here to basically sort of round 2 of Blake 7 discussion. I do not know where my planned guest is. Hopefully Mr. Problembeing, my good friend Problembeing, who discussed it with me last time a number of weeks ago, will be back soon. Yes, Darth Hauser. Thank you for Haster. Sorry about that. Long day already. Sorry, Darth, but yes, Darth, he does make some great intros. He's amazing. I'm just so in his debt for that. Very, very cool. The great Loki. What a great guy. I've been fortunate enough and honored to be on his channel a couple of times, including for the TC Fandom events. And this past week, 12 hours with he and his gang, and it was a lot of fun. Eastland Burkholder, thank you for being here. Mark C. Was lurking about here a little bit ago, I do believe, if you're still here. Hey there, buddy. Looking forward to talking to you. Saturday night, that's right. Saturday night, we will be talking about Flash Gordon. Not Flash Gordon. All 86 years of him. It is the 40th anniversary of the Dino De Laurentiis, Sam J. Jones extravaganza Flash Gordon from 1980. We'll talk about that, of course, but we'll also talk about all 86 years of the savior of the universe, from Alex Raymond to Sam J. Jones and so forth, and Buster Crabbe and all kind of other great, and Steve Holland and all kind of great things there. Charles McGrath, my old buddy Charlie. Hey man, great to see you there, buddy. Amazing. I don't know how many Blake 7 fans we have here. I don't know if we have 7, but we have me. And again, I don't know where, if he's having some technical difficulties or whatever, if he got my message. Problem being, I don't know. He is way on the other side of the pond there. It is nighttime for him, and perhaps he did not realize the time that I was doing it, that I had set up as possible. I do not know.
But if whatever he pops in, he's more than welcome to do so. I guess. Because it was a lot of fun talking Blake 7 with him last time. And I was going to do a general Blake's 7 discussion with him before, but he said he wanted to do it like when we talk about key episodes. I was going to do, basically, since he wanted to comment on episodes, I was just going to count down my best ones and let him comment thusly, and that way we can get a lot of it done. So I don't know if any of you have seen Blake 7. This is there are a lot of topics when I do it on this show, and I say, hey, let's do this topic or let's do that topic, whether it's with my buddy Mark here, the great Mark C, or whomever it is with. And I often find myself going, oh, you know what? I should brush up on it. I should do some more research. I'll even learn things that I thought I knew going in that because you should. Anytime you do a topic on any kind of show, I think you should do research. There are a couple of things. This is not arrogance, by the way. You can still learn new things about anything. There are a few things that I can go in cold without having doing any research or even rewatching episodes of it if it's a show or whatever. And just because I've watched it so much and have been so deeply into it, I don't have to do a lot of research. Blake 7 is one of those things. Doctor Who is another. Star Trek is another. Some comics are. Nevertheless, it never hurts to research a little bit. It's just that this one, I didn't really put any kind of research into. I thought we were just going to go off the cuff with our discussion. And again, Mr. Problembeing, if you were out there somewhere hearing me, sir, I hope you are well and you're on your way in. I've sent him a link. I don't know if he has gotten it or not. I hope so. But again, maybe he got I told him the time, so I don't know. Maybe he could have gotten the time wrong. I don't know. I think all I can really do is just get going. Now we're up to 6 now. So Blake 7. Blake 7. Anyone who is not familiar with the show, basically, if you're familiar with Doctor Who, especially of the late 70s and early 80s, you know what kind of production values you're talking about. This was a BBC series of the time. Tom Baker was Doctor at the time, my favorite Doctor, Tom Baker. He was, of course, on the show created, for the BBC, but one of the great creations of Doctor Who that's kind of saved the series, if you'll remember, was, of course, the Daleks. The very second episode of Doctor Who is what put the show on the map. It was near almost cancellation even after its very first episode, An Unearthly Child. Then along came the Daleks. Well, the creator of the Daleks, or certainly the writer of their first story, and the man who does own the creation rights, or did his estate, he has passed now, of course, Terry Nation, created a science fiction series for the BBC that he sort of sold or pitched as sort of a Dirty Dozen in space type of a deal. And I have always said, even if you look at Blake 7, even the very symbol, even the very symbol of it, look, as you can see, it's like a Star Trek Delta shield on its side, which is very fitting because there are some very blatant, I would say, callbacks. Hey, we got a 7 up there now. All right. Callbacks in terms of viewers, it is, to Star Trek in terms of it's a Federation, except they're bad. It's they have space. Of course, it's a spacefaring series, a show with spacefaring technology and the like. Hey, Latino Slam, my good friend Paulie. Oh, Paulie. Hey, man, good to see you there, brother. And so I have always called Blake 7 something of the antithesis of Star Trek. As any of you who know Star Trek knows that Blake 7, well, look, Star Trek, of course, is where Gene Roddenberry wanted us to go. He was hoping we could go there. He was hoping we could evolve into that. We could be that. We could become that. Blake 7 is what, again, I guess our Brit buddies are more pessimistic, I suppose, sometimes with their science fiction. A lot of science fiction is pessimistic. Blake 7 is, for those who do not know, it is It's the Star Trek future just turned on its head, or maybe on its side, as you see that Delta shield. It is where we are. It's more of the warning rather than the hope. Star Trek's the hope. Blake Seven's the warning. Both science fiction entertainment, set in the future, where Star Trek set originally 200 and 300 and 400 years into the future. Blake Seven is set 1,000 years into the future. They call it the second calendar. And yet its technology is not as advanced as in Star Trek. And I think the reason being is because the Federation and the administration, as they have referred to it, is a military dictatorship that controls its population with drugs in some cases, and military force. And there aren't as many advancements. For example, the Federation, they do have ships and they do have interplanetary travel that travel certain faster than light, but they don't have teleportation or transporters like the Star Trek does. The Liberator, this captured alien ship that Blake gets a hold of in the early episode, it does have a far higher technology than the Federation does. We later find out that technology is from a thing called the System, which is basically later ripped off in Star Trek called the Borg. Of course, the System, was also taken for some things as well. But yes, they call it the administration sometimes, Eastland, and they call it the Federation, of course, as well. The Federation is a military dictatorship, and there's a caste system. In Blake Seven, Blake is from some of the privileged upper class who became disenfranchised and disillusioned about it. He didn't like what he saw. He became a crusader for freedom and freeing everyone for equality and equal rights, and he became a revolutionary about it. Kirk grew up in a very nice society that respected people's rights and differences. Blake didn't. Blake grew up in a very oppressive, corrupt, as he called the Federation, is corrupt and oppressive, and he wants to see the heart of it torn out. And after what they did to him, he wanted to fight even more. Which, if you've seen the first episode of The Way Back, you'd know about. But whereas Avon, Moira Kitty is here. Oh, the lovely Moira Kitty. Thank you for dropping by, my dear. It's great to see you. It is a pleasure. Again, we're hoping Problembeing will drop in later. If not, I'm just going to talk Blake Seven and bore everyone to tears because it's what I do. D. Oberg, Douglas Oberg. Thank you for popping in, buddy. I appreciate it. Great to see you there, man. I'm thrilled to see everyone here. Thank you so much. Again, maybe Problembeing, he might have got the time wrong. I don't know. But for those who do not know Blake Seven, that's what it is. It is the British Star Trek, but it's a pessimistic Star Trek. It is a far-flung future that is corrupt and oppressive. It's very Orwellian. And a bunch of criminals who are being taken to a penal colony to spend the rest of their lives on a primitive, barren planet. And criminals, the only ones that actually have any kind of independence except they get caught and they get put on planets, but they're the only ones that think for themselves, really, happen to stumble across when they're trying to take over their prison ship and break free. They come across a superior alien spacecraft that they were able to. There's Claude Parrish. Thanks, Minimus, for jumping in. They are able to capture this craft, and it gives them power. And it just so happens to fall into the hands of a very obsessive revolutionary, but also look, one of the great things about the characters on Blake Seven is they are very real, very human characters. They don't come from a Pollyannish society like in Star Trek. They come from a very cynical one. Blake is a revolutionary, and he's a fanatic. That's a great thing about the character of Blake. Blake's the fanatic. He's got control of an incredibly powerful spaceship, and he has decided he will go all-out war on a federation which has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of ships. He thinks this extraordinarily one powerful spaceship, he could beat the whole federation because he's fanatical about that. Whereas Avon, the greatest character, probably one of the greatest characters ever written in all of television, and Blake's foil, he just happened to be on the prison ship with Blake. He wants the superior spacecraft to get rich. Avon, in his very first episode, which was the second of the series in Spacefall, in a philosophical argument with Blake, tells him, Listen to me. Wealth is the only reality. The only way to obtain wealth is to take it away from someone else. Avon is a computer genius who was going to prison because he got betrayed in a great bank fraud where he was trying to steal a bunch of money. All he wanted was money. Blake is an idealist, as Avon is referred to him. Avon is a realist, is what he considers himself to be a realist. Like you say, Eastland, Avon wants to be rich and to be safe by being rich. You know, he says enough money would make him untouchable. And in that universe, it probably would. But he thinks it would. All Blake cares about is his revolution. All Avon cares about is money, and the two clash. The thing is, Blake learns early on, especially with this very alien spacecraft, he needs Avon. Avon's a genius with computers, even with these alien computers. He needs Jenna for piloting. He needs all of these people. And Blake, like a lot of revolutionaries, he believes he's right about everything. He's a zealot, and he's a manipulator. The only one he can't really manipulate is Avon, but Avon knows he's at least safer on the Liberator than on Cygnus Alpha, which is a nothing primitive planet that he would have spent the rest of his life on. So Avon wants to stay on the Liberator. He wants the Liberator. He wants to get Blake out of the way. But there's a nobility about Avon, and there's also a realization. Avon believes, look, not one man can just pilot that ship, even pre-Orac. So Avon bides his time. He plays the percentages, as Blake said. One thing Avon says about Blake, when Jenna tells Avon to watch himself, says Blake's not giving him himself the chance to think. In Star 1 is he says, Avon, watch yourself. I don't think Blake's giving himself a chance to think. And Avon says Blake is an idealist, Jenna. He cannot afford to think. That's Avon in a nutshell. He's the cynic. He does not believe in Blake's mission. He believes in taking the Liberator. I mean, they just as soon as when they came upon the Liberator, for some reason, and we've never really been explained why, the Liberator had a lot of wealth on it. It had a lot of money. It had all kind of stuff. And yeah, he's just, oh man, train of thought gets destroyed sometimes. Sorry, everyone. I have one going to Avon. Avon wants wealth. He wants power. He wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to fight the stupid war that Blake wants to fight. Blake wants to free the guy. He wants to, as he said, he wants to tear out the heart of the Federation. He wants to change everything. One man thinks with a superpowered spaceship, he could do that against an entire Federation, which is spread out over hundreds of worlds. And yes, there are aliens that don't really like humans very much because humans are spread all over the place, and they're run by the oppressive Federation, especially for the first 2 seasons. Hang on, I'm being bothered. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm having some technical issues here. Sorry, folks. I guess I don't know when if Problembeing is going to show up. He may not have got the time right. I'm going to send you a link in just a second. I'm going to send someone a link and bring someone in. So I'm sorry, everyone. I'm having a little aggravation here. I'm sending a link if Minimus, if you're hearing me. I think it's going through. I've been having so much aggravation with this, with my computer today. So hang on, everyone. I'm sorry, everyone. Trying to send a link. If you're hearing me, man, I'm trying to send you a link. And I don't know what's going on with my computer. I don't know why it's taking so long. Sorry, everyone. I guess you're still hearing me out there. I hope. Ugh. Is everyone still hearing me out there? Because I'm having trouble with Well, okay. I hope you're all hearing me out there. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to send a link. He says. Okay, thanks. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Hang on one second, everyone. Let's see here. Okay, I apologize, everyone, for the stopping there. I'm being heard. I know I'm being heard, but I'm having trouble sending stuff. I'm having some computer issues. So I'm trying to send Minimus a link, and I don't know why it's not working. I'm trying. Oh, okay. Well, if it gives, if the link goes through, I hope it goes through there. Anyone, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, everyone. I just got distracted here with Yeah, I don't know. It's not going through. I can't understand it. Maybe it's Facebook. Because Facebook sucks, everyone. Good God. Facebook sucks. I hate the new Facebook design. Anyway, well, Blake 7. If anyone is now, I don't know if any of you've actually seen the show, but not many people have anymore. You know, by the way, I hear it's on BritBox, but that's not BritBox. It's on BritBox, not American BritBox, apparently. Thanks, Eastland. I appreciate that, man. By the way, my friend Latino Slant is here tonight. He's got 2 big shows today. If you're still here, please go check his show out today. He's got one at, I believe, 4 his time, Pacific time, and he's got which is his normal show, and then he's got his X-Files watch show tonight. His watch party tonight. He'd have to tell me the time again to make sure that I get it right. You know, sometimes, by the way, Eastland, Blake 7 is still on YouTube sometimes. People keep putting it back up there. The BBC did strike it. They did take it down, but apparently it's back up there. So, and so yes, Blake 7 basically is the antithesis of Star Trek in that sense. I don't know why, but it had a sort of resurgence of popularity in the mid 80s after its original airing. And Mark Cease can only get the link through Twitter. I've sent it to Minimus through Facebook before, but that could be Captain Trek. Hey man, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. I don't know, Minimus, do you have Twitter or an email or something? I mean, he's been on before and we've done it through Facebook, so I don't know. Yeah, let's see. He's messing with his computer. It's worked through Facebook before, though, for him anyway. Facebook sucks. Yeah, but you all knew that, didn't you? Yeah, well, where were I? I don't know. Maybe Problembeing thought we were going to be an hour later. I don't know. But we'll probably just reschedule when he wants to do that. You know what I'm going to do? Again, not everyone here has even seen Blake 7. So I'm just going to do what I had originally planned, since this will really irritate Minimus if he does show up. I had planned to count down the top 10 episodes because I was Problembeing didn't want to make a list, but I figured we would comment on my top 10. And he's not here, so we'll probably just end at 2 and then probably reschedule next week when he can make it. I don't know, because he could be having some problems. He probably got the time wrong. I told him, but I'm not sure what time it is over in his part of the world. but it's not a big deal. But yes, Eastland, it was shown like Doctor Who. It was shown on a lot of the public broadcastings. It was Blake 7. I remember I had the VHS tapes, of course. They've never done an American DVD, though. Damn them. So, yeah. Well, I'm just aggravated with the show. I'm aggravated with this computer. Yeah. All right, let's find something here. Oh, what's wrong with this stupid thing? There we go. Yeah, we hear a lot of background noise.
Ever think that maybe you are the background noise?
No, you are. I'm not having a good day. I'll probably just scrap this one.
Well, what happened?
It's hard to explain. But
you had a guest who was supposed to come on, and he.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. But
I was just trying to sign in to a couple of things. My Facebook wasn't letting me get wouldn't let me use a messenger. The YouTube was kind of strange, and my phone, strangely enough, was the only thing I could depend on. But I can't hook up through that thing.
You're on the computer now?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Flash uses his phone, and all we get is echoes. So we just call this a.
You do? You do?
Yeah, that's great. 7. There we go. It leveled back down at 7. Doers, it is. Yeah, I'm having a bad day. All right, it's not a big deal. And there's an echo. See, I knew it. Thank you, Echo. I knew you'd be there. What happened? You're on a headset, aren't you? Or are you on the headset?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I thought you had somebody else in there. Yeah.
All right.
I am setting my head.
All right. Well, we could just switch it to plain old geek talk and stuff, because I don't know why I'm getting an echo on you if you have a headset on, but unless you have some kind of unless you have that on YouTube or something as well.
I don't have the volume up on the computer. I completely headset.
Oh, well, I do not know why that's doing that.
I can't hear it.
I can. I hope no one else can. Anyone else hearing the goddamn?
Let me check. Let me just go on here and act like, hey, I'm just checking these things, and I'm gonna listen. You'll probably hear it through your. Hold on to your pants for a second. You'll probably hear it through your.
Getting a big time echo.
That's weird. Okay. All right. Well.
Don't worry about it.
There was.
It didn't that? I don't think it did that last time you were on.
No. Well, it's still kind of new. StreamYard. So.
Mark is saying yes. I presume he's saying he's hearing the echo. If you could be more specific, but yes. I guess he means the echo. So yes. I don't understand it, folks. It just does that sometimes. It doesn't do it when I have others on.
It's just me.
I don't know. But it ain't me. It's impossible to be me because I'm hearing me and not you when you don't echo.
No.
Yep.
I have very little to say. Why would I say it twice?
Well, I don't know. But I do know this.
Do you want to kill it and start over, or just kill it?
I'm probably just gonna kill it and just. I'm glad everyone popped in. I hate to waste everybody's time, but I've kind of lost it anyway for talking about it. Well, Polly's not getting an echo.
Hey, try check your volume on your end. Do you have it up all the way? Because you may be getting feedback from your headset into your microphone.
I don't know if I am. I don't know. Am I? I mean, again, I don't have a sound checker other than hearing what people say here on the. But now I'm not hearing it. Yeah, I am hearing it. Just not as loud. Costumes. That echo makes me want to kill everybody in the universe.
Hang on a second. I'm going to try
In
something
alphabetical order. I said echo gone. I can hear the echo, but if no one else is hearing it, I guess it's better than nothing.
No, I just put it on my Amazon Fire Stick, and I don't hear an echo.
Eastland is too charitable. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, it makes for a test show, I guess I could say.
Yes.
We should do a Galaxy Quest show, Paulie. Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, the last great Star Trek movie.
Yeah. Worst costume look like the Beatles. Yeah, we could do a Blake Sevens costume conversation one of these days, Eastland. But that would, yeah, if people see the costumes, they would make fun of them from now.
Puppy sleeves.
It was the 70s, the late 70s. What are you gonna do? This is like the most mild one right here.
Even Gan had puppy sleeves.
Yeah, they all had puppy sleeves. And we could. God, that echo makes me want
to. You could hide snacks in there, maybe.
Yeah. Well.
Jenna didn't have any puppy sleeves. She had her pups elsewhere.
Yeah. That echo. I don't know. I mean, it's nothing to do with my sound because.
So.
I don't know. It was gone for a while. Well, if it's gone for them, it's fine. I guess I'll just have to learn how to deal with it.
I can't.
If it's gone for the audience now, so I know you can. Anyway, I've lost all train of thought. I'm really interested in talking about the show, so I've talked about it many, many times. I'm sure Problembeing must have just got the time wrong or something.
Let's talk about how much you love Taylor Swift.
I was going to do a list because I know you like them so much.
I do. I love me a list. I love Fran's list. I like Les Preludes, the music that was used in the Flash Gordon serials. It's excellent. Or are you talking about that thing where you number stuff and say, this is better than that?
Maya's aiming at the back of the photo. Oh, I don't know. I could tell you the episode that's from, but I can't tell you why he's back there. We all know he is the most important character. So even in the back, and I can't pronounce your name, but I like your name. I just can't pronounce it. I don't know. I'm afraid.
You can. You pronounce that name many times.
Mark C said, Claude, take one step away from your computer, he says.
Hey, Mark C, come on over here. We'll talk about it. You and I. Sit down, have a Bolo Quisp or Quake, your choice, and we'll discuss.
Let's see here. Costumes tonight. Most of them very objectionable. Yeah, look, the costumes. Some of them. Well, they're all very. They're all very different. That's for sure. I mean, that's. I believe that episode is from that picture is from Pressure Point.
Yeah.
But it was an episode. Well, it's a promo pic, but they were filming a Pressure Point for that episode.
I know why Avon is in the back.
Why? Because
he can shoot everybody in the back from where he is.
Yeah. Avon plays the percentages, as Blake said.
Yeah.
In Horizon. You know, he didn't want anyone behind him. And he always gets the gunfighter seat. So, yeah. That's Avon for you. And this, of course, was a very sad episode. It's in my top 10, I think. Yeah.
So when Gan was done in. This is not a spoiler.
Yes, it is.
40 years ago.
It's over 40 years ago, so it's not a
Okay.
spoiler.
Hey,
So-
Popeye ate spinach to get strong. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, if he wasn't all the way in Mississippi right now, meaning Mark, he would come over there and kick your ass. I'm just letting you know.
I've got plenty of ass to kick. And the last time I saw him, so did he. I hope his arm is better, though.
It's better than mine.
Eh.
Yes, indeed. We got a couple of Mississippians here. Well, you know, everyone knows that Minimus here is famous for being an ass about lists because Flash and I enjoys them. So I guess I should read down my top 10 list and get out of here.
Oh, my God. Oh, is it only 10? Okay.
No, I have 25, actually, but usually it's no fun to do a list if you're not doing it with someone else that has a list as well. So the point, well, it wasn't even my idea to do episodes. Problembeing wanted to see. He said, "Why don't you name a couple of key episodes and we comment on them?" Because last time we just talked about the show in general, and I have my list.
Oh, I have a question for you, real quick. Do you consider the Big Finish audio as canon for Blake 7?
I don't, but a lot of people do.
Same actors doing the same roles.
Yeah, ones with the same actor.
Yeah, not the other stuff. Not that other stuff was crap.
No. I know what you're talking about. The ones that were like when they got the crew back, the actual real actors back together. Yeah. My only problem with some of those, they're obviously, you know how when you see someone 40 years later, they look different. They sound different too.
Yeah, especially Garrett Thomas.
Your voice ages also, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're doing the voiceover of a character you did 40 years ago, you're not going to sound like that character. It's just, that's life. Stories are kind of okay, but I don't know. These guys writing them, they try to fit some of these newer stories between episodes that don't have any wiggle room at all. And it's kind of, why would you do this?
Oh.
And again, that's nitpicky from a geek who's watched it a million times, I grant you.
What wasn't Peter Tuddenham dead by then, and they had to find somebody who did an impression of him?
Yeah, no Peter Tuddenham. He was already gone. Garrett Thomas was still with us at that point. The episodes, they only did third season, so that, then to worry about Gann.
Yeah.
And I think they got a different actor doing, was it?
Callie?
Maybe Callie. Or maybe Dana. I can't remember. One of them didn't go back. I can't remember exactly. But and they're all right. It's just like you have to kind of just forget that they don't sound like they're in their 40s anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Well, you had the books too. You had Avon: A Terrible Aspect, which fans have given terrible reviews to. What was the one where it took place right after the last episode?
It was called Afterlife.
Yeah.
And I read that one as well. By the way, I suspect that was the case. Problembeing described the time around 8. It's only 7:38 p.m. over there. I'm sure he probably thought it was 2 o'clock my time again. I did say 1 o'clock my time a bunch of times. I did that, and I specifically said it earlier than we did last time, which was at 2, because I figured because of how late it is there for him. That's why I'm doing this in the daytime anyway. So he'll probably pop in at 2. I'll wait for him to see if he does.
You can pad until then. Do your list.
Yeah, well, I'll count down a list quickly until I get to 10, and then when he gets here, we'll do 10 down or whatever. And if you want, even though you don't like lists, you can comment on the episodes too.
My favorite one, though, I can tell you my favorite one, and I think my memory is shot. You were initially not a fan of Blake 7.
I don't want, yeah.
And I said, watch the last episode. And I think after that, you now know more about Blake 7 than anybody on the planet.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would go that far.
It is weird. I was talking at the beginning here how it's the only one of those things I don't have to do any research for when I talk about it. I can go in cold. A lot of times I'll think I'm gonna do a topic that I don't need to research very well, and I'll remember. You know what? I don't remember all the shit I used to know about this thing.
You quoted lines to people as your own dialogue at conventions. Some woman, you were looking at her comic book at Dragon Con or Atlanta Fantasy Fair or something, and you said to her, she said something like, "What do you think about it?" And you said something like, "It wasn't." You didn't like it, or it wasn't your cup of tea, or something, and then she gave you a face, and you said, "If you didn't want the answer, you shouldn't have asked the question." Yeah, you do it.
Classic
See,
Avon.
you missed the boat. You should have epping, sorry, watching my language, been there to meet Paul Darrow.
Fucking what? Oh,
You should have been there to meet Paul Darrow.
yeah. Don't. Yeah, I need even more salt on that wound. If you can go get like a gallon of it and pour it on.
You'll live.
By the way, M, that's a good question. Zen is the number 7 character, not Aurak. When they finally started tallying up the whole 7, because you look at it and go, "What do you mean 7?" Blake was counted Zen and A at the end of that episode, which was that was at the end of Seek, Locate, Destroy. No, it wasn't Seek, Locate. Sorry, it was yeah, well, I think it was that one. Anyway, when he did it, he goes, "You're not counting that computer as part of the crew." And Blake said, "What do you say to that?" He goes, "State standard, course and speed." He goes, "Well, very diplomatic of you." He counts Zen as the crew, yes.
Yeah.
So,
and that was all born from somebody asking Terry Nation, "Well, what's the name of your show?" And he just blurted out Blake 7. No plan, just a title. And then he built it around that.
Yeah. I guess it was my pain of not getting to meet Darrow and Keating that created my love for the show. And that episode you mentioned, it's very high on my thing you hate list.
Don't you have those?
Well, 25.
Don't you have those magazines? Huh? Remember the Blake 7 magazine?
I have it. Don't you? I have a couple.
I got some Red Dwarf. I thought I had Blake 7, but
they had a weekly mag, but I don't have many of them. But I do have some. They weren't easy. The whole thing about Blake 7, they weren't easy to get that. Remember, they did have the VHS release, but there's never been an American DVD release.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's on BritBox in Britain, but not here.
Yeah, I looked for it on BritBox here. We got nothing.
Yeah, I was told now maybe it's coming, but it should. But again, it's not even on DVD here yet or Blu-ray. I think there's a Blu-ray over there. If I'm not, I could be wrong. But
so do your list.
My favorite Avon quote. There you go. Well, yes. If you didn't want the answer, you shouldn't have asked the question. That was from Power, by the way, the second episode of the 4th season. When he said it, when she called him a homik.
Oh,
that was the sexist ultimate. That was the toxic masculinity episode extraordinaire. That, by the way, there's this. I was looking around for Blake 7 podcasts about a year or so ago, or whatever, because I wanted to see if anyone was talking about it, and I found one. And it was these two lovely sounding Aussie ladies, and I thought, okay, good. I mean, I even reached out to them and said hello, and I'm glad they're doing a show about it. They were nice when they answered back. Then I started listening, and look, the show was made in 1978, 9, and 80, and 81. But when they talk, they were breaking down episodes, which is a cool thing to do in a podcast. Do a whole show about an episode. They have to preface every one of them about how anti-PC it was, and how it doesn't fit with the SJW narratives to today, and all this kind of SJW bullshit. It just ruined my enjoyment of it.
That's code for it was good.
Yeah. Everything that was problematic about it.
Nothing problematic.
Shut the fuck. Yeah.
It's a TV show. It's not your documentary.
It was another time, and it was not. I mean, it was not problematic. Just shut the fuck up. But I'm going, man. I almost want to hear them talk about that episode because that was the ultimate in toxic masculinity patriarchy episode. But it was a great one, by the way. Avon's. Let's see. Let me go. Avon's mental position was, if you try to kill me, you're asking what will I do? Try to. Yep. Well, that's it basically. And as Dana said about him, underneath that cold, harsh exterior beats a heart of pure stone.
Yep.
And what was it when Travis said, "Just I thought she was supposed to be the one with brains." Avon said, "Brains, but no heart. Now talk or scream, Travis. The choice is yours." I could go on with Avon quotes all day.
Do you have a favorite Travis? I know you do.
Travis?
Yeah.
All he ever did was snarl at, "I'm going to kill you, Blake."
No. I mean a favorite Travis, the character.
Oh, I like Stephen Greif. Chris Boucher was kind of Elvis Travis. He was
Travis.
good.
He was pretty.
But he was, he was on a Doctor Who episode, Robots of Death. You know what's weird about that?
What?
He was on Robots of Death, which was written by Chris Boucher, who also created, didn't create Travis, but he wrote one of the pivotal Travis episodes, Weapon, and he also created a character in that episode that he later, when he wrote a sequel to Robots of Death in a novel for Virgin, Fourth Doctor novel called Corpse Barker, he put a Blake 7 character from Weapon in that novel called Cornell. His own character, because he created it for that episode.
And just as an aside, Corpse Marker was reprinted when they did the 11 Doctors reprints. You know, the larger paperbacks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Servalan was just a brilliant character. No question about it. She was wonderful. And the late, rest her soul, the late Jacqueline Pierce. What a beautiful woman. As feminine as it gets, and one of the strongest, if you have to use those stupid modern terms, female characters. She's not a female character, just a character. You happen to be a gorgeous female woman. And I don't usually like short hair personally that much, but man, she made it work. And she was dressed like a fashion queen, but she was the supreme commander and later president of a totalitarian federation. And she was a schemer. She was a genius, and she was a poisonous snake, as she was referred to.
She was Avon.
What a great character. But even Avon didn't trust her.
Yeah, she held an empty Federation blaster on him, threatening him. The first one with Dana. You know all the titles. I don't.
It's Aftermath. That one right there, Aftermath.
Yeah, but it was empty. And then she just threw it down.
That won't stop them. It's empty. It's a great pity we have always been on opposite sides, Servalan.
Yeah.
Problembeing is here. Don't go, by the way, just because he's here. You could meet each other.
I can bail. That I mean,
don't worry about it if you feel like hanging. I don't hear the echo anymore. Problematic
Hello.
one. Hey, Lee.
Hello there.
What's up, man?
Am I late?
I mean, probably not on purpose, but yeah, I said it for 1 because I wanted to do it a little earlier for you. But last time we did 2:00, so maybe.
Sorry about that.
Would you just go straight to the principal's office, young man?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this time difference thing. I mean, listen, I'm totally dyscalculic, so I do apologize.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey, yeah.
Well, we can't talk about Blake 7 without a British accent here, just as it's illegal. This is my friend Claude.
Hello there.
Problembeing, Lee.
Hello, Prob.
Hello there. How are you doing?
May we call you Prob?
It's like an 8 hour.
You may not.
Yeah, it's 8 hours. 8 hours. 8 hours.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, I have my evening tea.
Me too, but it's got ice in it.
No. Heathen.
Heathens. We are heathens. Tea with sugar and ice.
I'm lying. It's water. But I do love iced tea. You guys don't even touch iced tea. Is it illegal or something over there? Or what?
No, we have a thing called I think Lipton's iced tea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have Arizona iced tea. It's wonderful.
I've had PG Tips and Earl Grey.
Yes, Earl Grey you're supposed to have with lemon, not milk.
They do that with iced tea over here too. They put lemon. They automatically, if you're at a restaurant or whatever, they assume you want lemon in your damn tea, and I say no. Not me.
Though, if you get up and punch them in the head, they never do that again.
That would work.
Yeah.
A couple of times. But the prisoner, number 6, liked lemon in his tea, of course.
Nice.
Yes, he did. He took living.
Living.
Well, let's see here. We were just going all over the place with some episodes. As you can see that picture there, because we were talking about Servalan the Wonderful.
Oh yes, Jacqueline Pierce.
My God.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
Oh man, again! And I heard she was always a very sweet lady too, from what I've heard about her.
She comes across that way. I mean, every interview I've ever seen her in, she's very what's the word? Candid.
Yes.
She seems quite the oddball, which I love. You know, a real English eccentric.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
indeed. Mando Mark. Hey, man.
She was a nude model for an Italian painter, I think, for a while.
Yes, she was. Yeah, she did a lot of life paintings.
Where are those paintings?
I want proof.
And she was also quite big on the whole Hammer horror thing as well. She was quite
that's
quite
right.
a character actor. Yeah.
Wasn't she in a Jerry Lewis movie or something?
I don't know.
I think she was actually. I could be. Maybe it was Peter Sellers. I don't know. It was a big difference there, by the way. Esther was going to facts and man. Yeah, no, that's true, Eastland. That's absolutely true. I was talking a little bit about Leo's a little bit about how I ran across this Blake 7 podcast a year or so ago, and these two Aussie ladies were, and I was very interested in it because not many people talk Blake 7, as I'm sure you're well aware, and they were. I thought, okay, they're breaking down episodes, and it was a good idea. I thought that was nice, and all they cared about, they prefaced every episode with all the things that were, let's use this word that I don't really like very much lately, problematic by today's SJW standards, because they were a definite. It's just lost it. I'm like,
yeah, because nothing existed before they were born. History didn't exist until they were born, and history has to be rewritten to make them feel better. You see,
yes, we have to. And we apply modern day SJW standards.
Yeah, you have to have a postmodern lens to make sure that everything is neat and tidy. Otherwise, you're a bigot.
Absolutely. So, I don't think you ladies should watch this bigoted show. It just obviously makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, good Lord! You're not going to believe this, Ben. She played a character named Mrs. Annabelle Levi in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Did you remember that?
Yeah, that's right. She did. She was on there. Colin Baker, John Pertwee.
Yeah.
Were also on episodes.
I shall have to investigate.
Of Young Indy. Right before John Pertwee passed, he was on an episode of, a few years before. I mean, he was on an episode of Young Indy as well.
Yeah.
Somebody else was on there.
Because
Terry Jones was on there, I remember.
Oh, really? Crikey. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, it was a good show, actually. Yeah.
After he died, he wasn't on much of anything.
Well, no, specifically not on this planet.
He was to me. Yeah. I was watching him.
Paris, October 1916 was the title of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, Season 2, Episode 16.
Oh, I remember that one. That was the little romance thing he had. That was actually one of the romance episodes. That was a good show, though. Need to go back and watch them one day. If Lucas hadn't fiddled with him, that's another one of the things he screwed with that show. His own show, I know he can do what he wants, but Jesus, that DVD set, I still don't want it because of what he did to it.
Yeah,
he took out.
I have to look it up.
He took out the old indie stuff.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know.
Heathens.
And he did it for a really stupid reason, not to go off on Indiana Jones, but I mean, right before the stupid ass Kingdom of the Crystal Numbskull came out, he just so goddamn stupid. The old show, for those who don't know, opened up with old Indiana Jones and like in his 90s telling a story. Then they had the flashback thing, and it was always a funny little sequence with old Indy at the beginning. It was really funny. Well, he decided, if we leave that, how you do? I can't do Lucas like my friend Michael's. If I leave that in there and people go see Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, they'll know that he survives at the end because we know he's 90 years old on the set. Like, are you insane?
We can't have Andy with an eye patch and people wondering how he lost that eye. In a court battle, probably. with Marion.
Oh, yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones was on one. There you go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there you go. That's right, Mark. See? Yes, she said it was.
Perfect.
Lovely.
And now, Back to Blake 7.
Yes.
Yes. The Crew. Look at Serverland. My God, that's a third season production still right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still got Callie there.
Hey, we've triggered Paulie. Hey, man. We're actually, I think we should do a show called The Triggering Show.
Why not?
Well, we just see who we can trigger. I mean, we can just talk about fuck all. You can just go, if this will trigger somebody, boom, let's do it.
No. Oh, yeah, I'm totally done with that.
Yes, indeed. And at least the Harrison Ford intro still, that's true. And he was on one episode.
Well, think about how old Harrison Ford is now and how old George Hall was back then.
He's almost the same age.
Yeah.
No, he was not. The character was in his 90s, so Ford's getting there. He could play old.
Well, I think George Hall was in his 70s back then.
Just don't let him make a new movie, please. Just don't let that happen. Thank you. It's embarrassing at this point, is it not? Well, Lee, we were talking about talking some episodes, I suppose, like some key episodes, and I thought I have a list, sir. So I'm prepared.
I did a rewatch of 3 episodes. That sort of stood out in my memory that I wanted to kind of go back and look at again, and I was thoroughly entertained. So, I mean, nice. I guess it's so, because I've said this to you before, that it's so difficult to come up with a list of favorite episodes. I mean, they're also so great in their own ways, but I did land on 3 that I did thoroughly enjoy, and that did sort of stick out in my mind. And it was quite difficult to whittle it down, really. But
cool. Yeah, I did 25. So let's do your 3 though. Let's just let's look at those, because this is like I was saying earlier. No research necessary. I've watched these things so much, and it's insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, that's great though. Listen, because I know talking episodes is. In fact, we talked one time. We've even talked about one of these days just doing the episode by episode type thing, like a lot of shows do. Someone needs to do it on YouTube. But throw those 3 episodes out there one at a time, and let's do that.
Yeah. Well, because I whittled it down to 3, so I got 1 from 3 seasons. So that's
okay.
First one I picked was Project Avalon.
Love it.
Yeah. Because it's an unusual episode, and I just really, really enjoyed that one. And it really does sort of show you what they're all about. That this is Blake's sort of calling in life, isn't it? To be this sort of freedom fighter. So they go off and look for this resistance leader called Avalon, and it's all a trap set up by the Federation, and you've got Travis who's sort of trying to manipulate everything so that Blake and the Liberators all in place, so he can impress Serverland, getting her good books. She's like laying down the law to him, saying, "Yeah, if you fuck this up, I'm not going to be able to help you out," kind of thing. And I've been sort of singing your praises and trying to keep you in the good books with the rest of the Federation, but you can't fail. And he's really confident, he's really cocky. So he sets up this trap, and they make it look like they're being taken by surprise, and they're doing all this softball stuff, and it's like it takes a while for Blake to work it out, but Blake realizes quite late it's a trap, but he still goes in and tries to rescue. But the thing is that they've been manipulating her and killed her. I think they killed her, didn't they, in this episode? They turned her into a robot.
No, but they didn't kill her though.
They didn't kill her. I thought it killed her. Sorry, I was my mum's come back from Korea, so I'm trying to watch Blake 7.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, they test it on this guy with this crystal, this ice crystal, and it's he's got he's like a subordinate. Is he like a mutoid or something? But he's just punched in the stomach and he sort of doesn't flinch. So he's quite a bulky bloke. and then he sort of crystallizes, and they find out how toxic this thing is and how it works. But I love how they get her on board, and she starts. Well, the guy that's in the resistance with her is killed. Everyone in the resistance was killed when Travis was there, and the mutoids took out the rest of the resistance. And then so they get her on. Eventually, they get her on board, and she's completely mental and starts kicking the shit out of Gan. And they try and wrestle her and get her settled into a headlock or something. And she's a robot, like an AI kind of robot. And so Blake, she's killed the one resistance guy that thought there was something not right with her on board the Liberator. So that sets the alarm bells. So they take her back, and Blake's like, well, I'm back alone. And he's got this ice crystal thing, and he's like, well, she's been reprogrammed by Avon to be a robot, and he's just like, if you do anything right, if you say a word or if you move in a specific way, she will drop this ice crystal, and you'll all be fucked. You'll all be crystallized. So they were like, Servalance is like, let him take her, and then Travis manages to get the crystal just before she drops it onto the floor, and Servalance is like, you're out, mate. It's over. So Travis is like, I'm gonna get you, Blake. It's just really, really, because like when they tried to escape the first time, there was just like such a limp attempt to try and stop them. Like they were using stun grade weapons rather than lethal force. So that's how he realized something was up. So it's quite an interesting episode. I garbled through that because it was just like, I've got the worst memory. But yeah, it was just, I thought it was a really good story all around. It was a great ensemble piece. It was a great story, nice twist at the end. And yeah, I just love seeing Servalan and Travis, and some great lines from Avon. I think this was this the one where he said,
it's got the bet or my single favorite Blake Avon exchange ever.
Yeah.
When they were speaking of this ice planet that they were on, and he asks Avon, does it contain any intelligent life? And Avon says, does the Liberator?
Doesn't he say something to or is it this one or one of the other ones? He says something to oh god, what does he say? Something. No, my brain's gone. Sorry, I'm still.
I hear you, man. It's not a problem.
Yeah,
this is a great episode, though.
Yeah, it's a really good fun episode. Go on. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, you note that also it had a guest appearance in another role by someone who would become a regular later. Glynis Barber was a mutoid. Later, she played Sulin in the 4th season.
Right.
So yeah. This is a great Servalan and Travis episode. I love Stephen Gripe, the first Travis.
I preferred him. Yeah. It was sad that he was replaced. I mean, I like the second one, but I think he had more gravitas. Yes, far more menacing. I think the other one just sounded a bit too.
Brian Croucher was a little. We called him Elvis. We called him Elvis. Trelvis. This was a great one, written by Terry Nation. Though it was a top-notch episode, and I love that thing you were talking about. At the end when they, Avon reprograms the Avalon robot, and they go back with the crystal thing, the disease, which it's like a
everyone
plague. Goes to
dust.
Dust.
Describes it as a sort of incorrectly called plague.
It was pre-Aurak, but Zen did, yeah. And,
Zen, sorry, yeah.
Yes, but yes, you're right, and I just love how Blake walks in, and he as soon as they're about to shoot Blake, because that's of course Travis's default. And he holds it up. He holds, as you can see in this picture, holds it up and says, "That would not be very clever." And he says, he threatens Servalan as well, and Servalan says, "You better let him go," and he doesn't want to let him go. Chris Persia, thank you for dropping in. Disaster Area. Hitchhiker's fan there. I like that name. Derek McManus, thanks for popping in. Matthew Pounder, great to see you. All these great new people popping in. And yes, he says, "Shoot me and you're all dead because I'll drop this thing."
Yeah.
And then he fits it in the robot's fingers and says, it's programmed to react to 3 triggers. And so
I love that. It could be anything you say, any move you make. So be careful what you say and what you do. So it's just like the tenseness in the air is just like intensely intense. It's just like really, really. Oh God, they say the wrong thing, move the wrong way, but Travis is like, "No, I've got this." He manages to catch it just as she drops it.
Yes.
But
that's a good point.
Is not impressed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's done with that.
Good point about the mutoids made here by him. I can't pronounce the name. I'm sorry, but very good points that keeps making. Never really understood what they were doing with the mutoids. One episode, one needed blood to survive, which was dual. Then after, like a vampire, then later they didn't do that anymore. They had mutoids a little bit. They didn't really do much with them. Then they had crimos later.
They had this green stuff, don't they? That they puts in a jacket. Yeah.
But they never really dealt with it more. But they needed blood in dual, like you said. So like they said there. And so yeah. So
there's
that is a great episode.
There's a great exchange between Villa and Avon when Villa's going down. He has to put on all the, because he doesn't like the cold at all. So it's not a top setting, But he says, after volunteers, he goes, "Oh no, wait a minute, it's cold out there. Like, I'm very susceptible to low temperatures. I've got a weak chest." And Nathan says the rest of you is not very impressive.
Love it. I love it.
It's so cutting. I love those exchanges. Those are classic exchanges.
No, they got so many too on the show. That's what's so great about it. Minimus, do you remember this episode?
I'm sorry. Hang on.
What happened? Oh dear.
Oops.
Can I hear you now?
Yeah. What do you remember this one?
I was doing some research and I found I'm just doing a lot of Blake 7 research here. There is a Facebook page. There's several actually. Tons of them. Blake 7 fans. Simple title, but it is loaded with photos, and I think the only objectionable thing they have on here is somebody's speculative casting of a modern Blake 7.
To hell with that.
They want Mads Mikkelsen to play Avon.
Nope, nobody.
Nobody.
Unless you could resurrect Paul Darrow from 1978, it ain't happening. If someone tries a Blake 7 remake, I'm putting the warning out there, folks. I will take a hostage. I will become a Blake 7 terrorist.
Where will you take them, though?
I don't know, but I'll take one for sure. And I will really do nasty things and upset people.
But it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah,
it will. I mean, if they do bring it back, my big hope is that they really do respect the original to the point that they don't just dump all over it. I mean, that's the big fear, really, for me.
You know what I hope? I hope the opposite. I hope they make it as disrespectful and hateful as possible, because it doesn't matter. Even if they're respectful, it won't be the original to me. No one can ever be those characters to me. So if they do it, I'm out. They did actually do sort of a remake, but it was a Big Finish thing. And I'm like, yeah. And I couldn't bring myself to listen to it, but I read the synopsis and I'm like, well, you already changed the original story, so eat it. Just me. I'm evil that way. Look at this. Brie Larson is Servalan.
Oh God!
What? Oh
no!
Yes. Look, why not?
The bestest ever.
Doesn't the Darrow estate own the rights? I don't know that. I mean, I know he writes books, or was writing some books of that. So, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Latino.
The only problem I have with this episode is how Carly didn't know that Avalon was a robot. I mean, she should have surely have sensed that.
she should have. When she never could read minds. She could only
But
project
she was an empath.
her
I
mind.
mean,
Yeah,
she must have sensed something was wrong. I think,
yeah. Deanna
I'm
Troy
sure.
would have,
Well,
because she didn't
that's
sense
true.
anything from her. But Callie, you could only read thoughts if you sent them to her. Some kind of can send her thoughts rather. But yeah, you're right. She should have. And also Shevner, he's the one that figured it out because he knew her so well, and she was acting like a rib.
Yeah, and he got he got taken out. Yeah.
What's another episode that you love?
Horizon.
Greatness.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting. So it's kind of very much in the line of the Mutants. The poetry story. It seems to be sort of one about colonialism and all that kind of stuff. Sort of like the British Empire and their
Yes.
their subjugation of the Raj. So it seemed to have that kind of sort of story, but it was done in allegory and not heavy-handed. It was pretty interesting story. You had this planet that has been mined for precious materials to help with intergalactic space travel. And it's run by this sort of subjugated ruler who was classed by the sort of federal empire as sort of like a tribal leader, but he was sort of re-educated by them and sort of brought up to be their sort of puppet king. And the people of this planet have been turned into miners and are working underground in highly radioactive situation. And even his wife is was supposedly sent off to be educated or something, and she's actually down in the mines. And the first king, his father was killed by the Federation, but he believes that he died sort of by natural causes or something. And he starts, as Blake and Jenna are sort of beamed down from whatever, transported down. They're captured. But it's when Carly goes down, when they don't come back after being tortured, and she's like reads his mind and sort of tells him what's happening, and he starts to believe. But you've got the Federation bod there who's just like, this is nonsense and it's all lies. But he's like, well, how did she know? Well, she's a spy, so she's kind of read the files, and she's warning him that be careful because they're going to kill you, overthrow him. And it ends in it's not quite a simple story. It's not like a game changer in any way, but it's a nice little story anyway. And at the end, he sort of comes out, doesn't he? He realizes that he's got to make a stand. His wife is brought back out, and she's imploring him to set the Blake and the team free. Avon's down there. He's off to kick some ass. At first, he said he didn't want to go down because he says, "I'm not stupid. I'm not going."
That's his line, of course.
Yeah. I'm not expendable. I'm not stupid, and I'm not going. And he had ample opportunity, didn't he, to steal the Liberator. He's thinking, well, he's sort of sat there, or standing there with Aurak, and he's sort of working out, how many pursuers ships are there, and how many, how long can I outrun? How much food have I got? And he's thinking, I've got a way out here. Then he kind of, the situation, the odds change as there's the pursuer ships, and there's one more than he can get away with. So he realizes the odds have changed, that he won't make it out alive. So that kind of makes up his mind that he has to go down and fix the situation and get them back. And I think it's kind of a bit of a cop out. He's using that as an excuse, but really I think he's just kind of bored and lonely. I think he just doesn't want to be alone. That's how I read it anyway. Which is great, because it just shows how duplicitous he really is. But at the end, he's kind of like, he's a complex character. On the surface, he's all sort of, at the first available opportunity, I'm making my way on my own with the ship, and I don't care. but really he does care. You know, I think at this point by season 2, he's sort of kind of coming around, realizing that, you know, he's actually part of something bigger than himself. But yeah, as the leader comes out, he's all dressed in, you know, they have all these poison dart things that they have managed to capture Blake and the rest of the crew with. But the king comes out in all this sort of big sort of tribal dress, and he takes out the Federation leader guy, and he just says, "You're going to die because this is a lethal dose." And it's just really, really quite an imposing figure as he comes, because he's been cucked so badly for so long. You think this guy's got no balls left at all, but you know, he comes out and he's just all dressed in his tribal gear, and he's all proud, and he does the lethal blow. And I thought that was a really nice character arc. You know, as a character study, it was really, really quite a nice story.
I love it. I absolutely love Horizon. It's, again, one of my top ones. It's way up in there. It has, as you were referring to, one of the greatest lines of all, when Villa starts about, you know, when he basically tells Villa, "You are expendable," Avon meaning. And he says, "And you are not." He says, "No, I am not. I am not expendable. I am not stupid, and I'm not going." But what's really this episode demonstrates, it's the second season, and it's just shows how reckless Blake could be, because at the beginning they're all dead tired. They're going to try to find a place that they plan to vacation. They're way out there in space hiding, of course, and he sees this transport going to this strange location. He decides, let's follow it. I'm curious. And Ava's like, "Oh, you are curious. Well, I'm glad we got a good reason." Like, is that, well, aren't you? Doesn't it interest you a little? No, there's nothing out here. No. And of course, Avon was right, as he often was. It's like, you went and got almost got everyone killed, Blake. He got them all captured because he wanted to just poke his nose into something. And then they all get captured, and Avon, as you're saying, he's talking. This is at a time where they have Aurak, who can help control the ship, and he asks Aurak. He puts it to him. You know, Blake even says earlier he brings Jenna with him a lot of times because he knows Avon needs a pilot. And,
and he trusts her, and he doesn't trust him.
Right, and he plays the percentages. Well, he says, at least that's what he says anyway. He says something different much later in the series, but he says that, and then Avon kind of needs a reason to just run out on him. He's trying to talk himself into running out. I mean, he really wants to, but he also doesn't. And he finds out. He asks Aurak, "I put it to you as a probability. I require the odds. In other words, how long? Got food for 1,000 years on this ship.
Yeah.
If he plots ahead of time, he can stay reasonably free of Federation pursuit ships. He can hide all he wants." And he tells him that, yeah, you could probably do it. Aurak does, because Aurak doesn't care about anybody. And then he sees that when he's about to get out of there, Aurak tells him there are 3 Federation pursuit ships on the way. And he asks him, "How many? Just the 2 of us. How many of these ships can we handle?" And he says the limit is 3. So Avon, when he realizes he's got to go get the crew because they're all needed to fight all those ships, he laughs his ass off.
Yeah, because
he wanted to go.
Yeah, because he spent. This is the thing. He spent so long deliberating it, and I think he was just playing for time. You know, he's kind of ruminating. He's really struggling with this, and then the situation changes on a dime, and he's like, the odds have changed completely. So he's just like, well, it's too close to call now, and I can't do this alone, and I don't want to be alone. So he's kind of forced himself into this position. Like, if he hadn't played for time, if he did acted straight away and acted when he had the information that he had, he could have gone there and then, you know.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He was still deliberating it, and then that was really interesting. I thought that was really great. I think that was a sort of a moment in Avon's character where he's kind of, you kind of feel he's earned his place to be there now. You know, he's not necessarily going to be this as duplicitous as before. Yeah, he's going to act like he is, but he's kind of now been let into the inner workings of his mind a bit more, and that he's not going to be so so dangerous. You know, he's going to stick around. You know, he's going to be trusted somehow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I just love how he just when he decides this, he just goes down there and a pretty lickety split, boom, 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 gets them all out of there. I mean, doesn't fall into the same dumb traps everybody else does.
Yeah,
Because he learned from their mistakes, and he gets them out. And I love that. Like he takes a shot, he shoots a couple of Federation guards, and then he almost accidentally shoots Blake, and then Blake, being a great detective, stops. He goes,
you missed.
Missed.
And he just
And then
looked
the look
at
on
him.
Avon's face.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's so classy.
Another great episode. I mean, well, there's so many great ones.
Yeah.
Deliberating. I like that name, Disaster Area. You must be a Hitchhiker's Guide.
That's Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah, that's the name of the band, isn't it? With the
Yes,
world's largest sound system, or the universe's largest sound system.
Hot Black
Hemorrhage your
Desiato.
brain.
Yeah,
Hey?
Hot Black Desiato.
Yeah.
Spending the year dead for tax reasons.
Yes, love that. Love that.
What's another great episode that you love?
It was tough because I was sort of tossing between Robert Holmes's Orbit, which I love, and Gold.
Love it.
I chose Gold because it's got Roy Kinnear in it, and Roy Kinnear is a bit of a legend in the UK. He's kind of like a comic actor that was in everything in the 70s, and you know, I grew up watching him, and he's the father of Rory Kinnear, who's quite a big actor now as well. But yeah, he was such a fun character, and I really love this story because it's so silly. It's it kind of this episode made me think this is set in the same universe, the same timeline as Brave New World. You know, the Brave New World? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you know, they bring up Soma and things like that, and it just makes me think, God, yeah, that kind of does seem to fit in with that that world. But it's a great plot. It's a heist. Everyone loves a good heist story.
Yeah.
So Avon sort of meets an old friend, Kyler, who informs him that there's a transport of gold from this planet to the Federation on this passenger spaceship, the Space Princess. And Keelan wants to steal all the gold, but he needs their help, and he offers Avon like a share. It's something like, I don't know, what was it? 10 billion or something. I can't remember. Quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's black. It's black. It's been atomized into a way that it's you know, mono. What's the word? Anyway, it's black. It can only be turned back into gold with the details of the process from the time and date or whatever of the actual machine. So it's a really convoluted plot. It all turns out to be a massive triple cross. It's brilliant. It's like they go through all this crazy stuff. They have to go down to this this gold planet where it's mined, and they have to kind of work out how to convert it back, and killing loads of guards. And at one point, the crew of the Liberator think that Avon and which one was it? It's Avon and Sulin. They think that they've been killed and they've been double crossed by Kyler, and it turns out that they're alive. And there's this robot that's trying to get them, and they manage to escape in time because it's been a double cross somewhere. Like, there's way too many security guards there, and they're clearly not security guards because they've got Federation weapons. So then they're thinking what to do, and they think, well, we can go ahead with the heist anyway. And then Avon's plan is like, we can just beam, we can transport the gold via the transporter And it's like, or I said, no, because if you do that, the gold will turn to dust. So it's like, God, we have to do this physically. So they go to this the ship that's run by Kyler. He's kind of like customer service, I guess, and he's got access to all the codes and access to all the secret doors, all the secure doors. So they set it up so they can get the gold. Everyone on the ship is drugged on Soma, and I think isn't it Dana has to take this thing, and she has to feign being sick, but she becomes sick.
Yeah.
Right. They have to get her
Dana.
off the ship. Yeah, Dana.
That's right. Yeah.
With the gold, but they have to sort of fix the cameras so that they can't be seen, and the gold's be trapped. And it nearly takes Kyler out, but he's fine. He sort of panics, but it's okay. And then they get the gold, and there's this quite dramatic scene where the alarm's been triggered and they're going to get caught. So these securities onto them, and they're in the airlock, and they're transporting the gold across this bridge into the Scorpion, and then they nearly sort of like Avon gets stuck there, and the security guard gets stuck there, and the airlock's opening up, and it's like Avon's going, beam me up, like transport me now. Villa's like, yeah, all right, and he manages to get him on board just in time, but the security guard obviously doesn't. And so they've got this gold, and then they have to go and obviously sell the gold. So they've got a contact in which to sell the gold. So they go to this planet, this desolate planet, and there's these people that are there to meet, and it turns out it's Servalan.
Surprise, not surprise.
Yeah. She's just like, yeah. So Avon's there, and he's got this kind of S&M flirtation with Servalan. There's this kind of sexual animal sort of attraction between these people. They hate each other, but they're kind of well into each other. So, I love that dynamic. Every
what
time
a great
I see
scene that is.
It's brilliant. So he decides to go ahead with it anyway for this money, like these billions, and he's obviously just gonna do it. Fuck it. He's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And then he leaves them with the gold, and Kyler's like, well, you can't leave me here, that she's gonna kill him. And he's just like, well, I can't take you because I can't trust you. You've double-crossed me already. So he leaves him with Servalan, and she just wastes him. She's gonna leave him there, but it's just like, you can't leave me here. And she's like, no, okay. So she has him killed.
Of course.
And then so they've got all this money, and they're on the ship, and they've celebrating the fact they've got all these billions of this banknotes. But it turns out that now that Servalan's got all this gold, brought out the banks, and the banks have changed over, and all these old notes are now completely invalid and void of value. So it's all for nothing. It's just Susan throws these notes all over Avon, as you can see in the picture. He's just looking at it like Dana's torn one up. Aurak tells him all this, and he just laughs. They said, we just risked our lives for nothing, and he just starts laughing. He's got this note in his hand. He's just like holding it like he's gonna break it in half. It's just like, he's just like starts laughing, and like every time Avon even smiles or laughs, you're just like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You're a scary man. So that's how it ends. It's just like, Oh man, it's very rare. I don't think in any other episode does Servalan and the Federation have one up on the on the crew. It's just like that's a rare moment. I just love that. So it didn't go their way.
Oh, it was great. I mean, look, that episode, again, love it. It's a great heist episode, as you say. That ending, and there was something about, look, I'm one of those, there's some who don't like the fourth season, I love it. But even if you don't, the endings alone in the fourth season, I could watch over and over again. They all have these great Avon endings. This whole season was about him, which I love, about his he's already evolved as a character a long way anyway, and this was just, good God, these endings. And then this one was another example of how obsessed he was with killing Servalan, and yet, like you said, there's still that little relationship between them that is interesting. He wants her dead.
Yeah,
he wants to kill her.
They want each other dead, but
and yet they don't.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. But there is this animal chemistry between the two. It's, as my friend the rabbi said, like, there is this kind of S&M quality to their relationship. They want each other dead, but they're sexually attracted to each other. It's so palpable.
Yes. It's amazing.
But I think they respect each other because they're both, intelligent, devious people.
He whispers to her. He whispered to her at that point. He says, "That was a great That was a great trip. The black gold." She said, "I knew you'd like it." And she said that you have all appreciate my work. It's most gratifying, she tells him. And then, if you harken back to the episode of Traitor, when they find out she's still alive, going under the name Commissioner Sleer, after they thought she'd perished on the Liberator. I love that ending when they're trying to convince Avon, and they said, "You're just running away from the truth. She's alive. Face it." And he finally says to Dana and Tarrant, "All right, I believe you. I didn't want her to die like that anyway." Then it closes up on him, and it was one of those great endings of that scene. He goes, "I need to kill her myself." Good God. And that music. Good God. I love it. And this one is an even more, this was one of the funniest endings ever. Because as you pointed out, the black gold has now become useless. But before they know that, they're all pretty pissed off at Avon because he knew it was Servalan and they didn't. He knew it all the time. And
the gold wasn't useless. It's like she could take because she had the blueprints in order to make it valuable again. So he's actually helped the Federation.
But he knew. Point is, he knew it was Servalan, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And they said, they said, "Avon, you took risks with our lives," and he said, "For 10 billion in chance and an outside, 10 billion in cash and an outside chance of killing Servalan, would you rather I hadn't?" And then that's when Orak broke in and said, "But it was not sensible." And says, "What is that supposed to mean?" And then he tells them the news about the money's no good.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yes, they're clear, all right, aren't they, Avon?" And was it Tarrant puts the money in his hand? They're all tearing the money up, and then he goes, "We just risked our lives."
Just chucks it at him, yeah.
He says, "We just risked our lives for nothing." And then she goes, "Not for nothing, Tarrant. We risked our lives to make Servalan rich." And she threw the money at him.
Yes.
And Avon looks for a second, then he starts laughing his ass off.
It's just that laugh.
Laugh.
Maniacal laugh.
As you can see from this picture.
He's gripping the note in his hand like he's almost trembling with anger, but he's just like, he's completely lost it.
He lost. They lost. They all got their asses kicked, and he's laughing his ass off.
It's a big game, and I think this is what he enjoys. I think he really enjoys this kind of tit for tat with Servalan. I think this it's kind of a one-man-up ship kind of battle between the two. And she really, really got one over on him this time. So, yeah. It's
amazing.
Great.
Oh, I just love it.
And I love the music on the ship, this kind of muzak, It's just so silly.
Oh, the Queen, the Star Queen, whatever ship it was, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun scene.
Roy Kinnear is just brilliant. I love him. A bit of comic relief, and he's always calling Sulin the pretty one. And she's like holds up a gun, and she's like, "Oh, okay."
Then he murders a dude for no reason, and like, "Hey, we don't do that, you jackass."
Yeah,
hilarious. He was only the second time Avon met an old friend. Well, the third, really. but that's another story. But so yeah, again, another great episode. I mean, I can't think of almost any that I hate, but I mean, I love so many.
I was thinking of Gambit as well, because that's another good one I like.
It's on my
Star
list for
One,
sure. Oh, I love
Power
Gambit.
Play.
Well, I'll read down this list and we can talk about a couple of them.
Yeah.
This is how bad I am. I got 50. I got 25 because picking 10 is just not happening. But we'll talk at 10, but I'll just go from 25 down to 11. I have Headhunter, Power Play, Time Squad, Redemption, Breakdown, Seek, Locate, Destroy, Project Avalon, Spacefall, Death Watch, Orbit, Shadow, Trial, Killer, City at the Edge of the World, Weapon. And I love all of these episodes.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good. Listen, I mean, Blake 7 is you know, it is a space opera. And I really think that my choice, I think Horizon was kind of very Shakespearean. You know, you can almost, it's kind of like Othello. You know, it's kind of got that feel about it, like real gravitas. You know, there's so many stakes and lives and planets on the line, and you've got these reckless people running from the Federation, trying to destabilize it so it will fall and collapse and free people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
I love it.
Brilliant. It's so good. I can't sing its praises enough. And it, you know, as a kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old watching this, and it was just mind blowing, you know. And it was great. So good. I'm so glad I rediscovered it. You know, I mean, rewatching it. You know, I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I rewatched it, and when it was on YouTube, and then they took it down, and I was gutted. And now it's on BritBox, so like, yeah, I can.
Your BritBox, not ours, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
damn them.
But hey, you've got. Are you being served on your US?
I trade with you, but if I could, I'd trade. You know, if I do that for you. Let's. I will read the. I will go up and briefly. We'll comment on these here because they're all episodes.
I have to say, I really admire your incredible gift, which annoys me because I don't have it, which is the ability to remember all the lines in all the right order.
Dude, I have a horrible memory, but for somehow with Blake 7, it doesn't happen.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
I'm talking about. You ever heard of the term? Well, maybe I made it up, so no one's heard it. Dangerous memory. Okay. I mean, if it were possible to forget to breathe, I would. And I go, oh yeah, you're supposed to breathe to live. That's right. Damn it. But somehow, I mean, I forget simple shit. Of course, I'm old, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But somehow with this show, I don't know what it is. This and a couple other silly things like Star Trek and Doctor Who. But other stuff, the important stuff out there, dude, I'm dangerous.
Brilliant.
Putting them in order is almost impossible. So, like I always tell people with these lists personally, I always say, look, I don't love number 6 that much more than I love number 10, for example. I love, if they're in the top 10, if they're in the top 25, I love them. If they're in the top 10, I mean, it's rarefied air. And my number 10 episode is, sorry, phone going off there. I forgot to turn the ringer down, would be Pressure Point. The end of GAN.
Yeah, that's sad. That's a sad story.
You know, I got to meet David Jackson once, and what a lovely man. Great dude, just super nice. Many years ago, when Blake 7 had a presence over here, with their actors were coming over here for cons. You know, late 80s, early 90s. And just a really nice guy. I remember he asked me where I was from, and I told him Louisiana. He said, "That's one of my favorite songs." And like, I had to think for. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, well, you know, Louisiana. I'm not kidding, saying it, but cool dude. And I love GAN, the Hoss Cartwright of Blake 7.
The gentle giant, yeah.
Yes, and an underrated character.
Yeah, it was a shock. I mean, this was a very unusual thing to happen in a big TV drama for a main character to go out like that. You know, really quite unheard of, really.
Yeah. Yes, and again, he dies, saving Blake, and this led to a whole lot. I mean, the episode following at trial, it's kind of, but this one here, this is where, of course, Blake goes looking for central control, as they called it before they called it Star One.
Yeah.
And it was all a trick, a ruse. There are a lot of great things in this episode. I mean,
There's
this is
so
a
many double crosses and
Oh,
set
yeah.
up some traps, and it keeps you on your
And
toes.
not only that, dude, there's also this, again, there are multiple facets to this story, like Servalan's background. The rebel leader on Earth, Kasabi, is Servalan's old teacher. That was a very, and of course, she was getting in contact, she was Blake's contact, but of course, Travis and Servalan knew about it, and they end up capturing her. There's a great scene in that where Kasabi, her old teacher, after they pretty much tortured her to death, and using her for info, if you remember, she basically, she's dying, and in her dying breath, actually says, after of course excoriating Servalan and what a monster she is, basically says to her in her dying breath is, "I'm sorry, Servalan." She's apologizing because Servalan doesn't understand this. It's kind of a window into her character. It's like, "What do you mean?" And she's kind of wondering what she does. "Why are you apologizing to me? I just tortured you to death." She says, "Maybe I should have tried harder with you. Maybe I should have tried to reach you sooner." Basically tell him, "I'm sorry, you're such a filthy, disgusting monster." And Servalan's look on her face, again, that's why this show's so great. The writing is so good. People look at plastic sets and funny hairdos and don't understand the brilliance of the writing of the show and the characterization.
Exactly.
And you look at this monster Servalan who dresses like a fashion queen, runs a fascist dictatorship, and is just now guilted. And does she understand or not? We've seen decency in her before from flashes of it, and yet she's a pretty evil creature.
Yeah.
And that
unrelentingly.
scene there, even Travis once in a while showed a little decency, and it just didn't last long.
No.
But you can tell they know they're pretty despicable.
Well, they're
key.
not cardboard cutouts. I mean, they are nuanced characters. I mean, when we're first introduced to Servalan, I mean, we just see her as this cold sort of crocodile of a woman, But there's so much more to her. There's all this depth, and this story sort of does sort of prick beneath the surface a little bit, which is a rarity, and it's a joy to watch. Because she's just so, what's the word, like, not reserved, but she's got this front, but there is a fragility there, and you just have to dig really, really bloody deep to get there, and so it's nice when you kind of see a little bit of fragility in that, and you don't see it that often, but when you do, it's great.
Well, that's what this episode has. It has everything. It has, first of all, that very human moment with Servalan and Kasabi. Even Travis is kind of admiring Kasabi a little bit in that episode. Then you move from that to Blake again and Avon at the beginning of the episode. Not to backtrack too much, this is when Avon is still reluctant a lot of the time, and when he asks Avon, who's he asks if the other ones are going with you, and he says, of course, they've all agreed to him because I figured not very bright but loyal. And he says, "Come on, stop messing around, Avon. You're going to go with me or not?" He goes, "Well, of course. I'm surprised you ever doubted it. Your biggest problem is going to be the computers anyway." He says, "Yes, I realize that." And then he goes, "Well, I better go get ready. You going to tell me why?" "What? Why are you going with me?" He says, "I like the challenge." "Now you really want to tell me why?" He says, "Well, with the resistance on Earth running that, someone has to take charge of all of this," meaning the Liberator. And he goes, "And you're going to be needed down there, and you're the only one that they'll follow." And Blake says, "Possible." He says, "Don't be modest, Blake. You're the only one that could unite all of them, and you know it." Again, playing his "I want the Liberator" thing. And he said, "Could be you're just planning a little far ahead." Blake says to him, and Avon says, "Perhaps, but sooner or later, I will have my chance." And Blake is always good with the comeback, because there's no hurry. He never lets Avon get the last word, almost ever. And almost never.
Yeah, there's a wonderful power play between the two, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then you got that. Then you also get to see Blake's fanaticism when we find out when he thinks he's actually made it to Central Command computer area, we find out that nope, it's a trap, and because I've done it, I've won. He's like celebrating, and then we find out nope, and Blake, he hears Travis's laugh. He falls to his knees, grabbing Avon. He's crushed. He's devastated because he knew he's been screwed and tricked. And only Jenna, by the way, who has always been underrated in my, saves the day by finding Kasabi's daughter. They come in and they're able to save them from Travis and Servalan and get them out of there. And as they're running, Travis throws a strontium grenade. It crashes a wall down, and Dan sacrifices himself to save Blake. And it's just like that. He walks and they all look back. Where's Gan? Gan's dead. Boom. And it's just, but they deal with it in the next episode.
Yes.
Trial. Brilliantly. Another brilliant episode. But you just, oh my God. No.
I love when the Servalan and Travis in the rubble. They'll dig us out eventually. Yes, they'll dig us out eventually, and then I'll bury you.
The way she said, oh yes, they'll dig us out eventually.
She does. She delivers those lines. Yeah.
God, she's brilliant. And I really do love the the second Travis a little bit as well, but the first one is the best. But he was, Brian Croucher, I'll give him some credit. He was good in that one.
He's a nice bloke as well. I was watching the Cygnus Alpha event on Twitter earlier on this year, and it was he was interviewed on that. It was a nice sort. Sort of the earth.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. And again, he was on the Robots of Death, one of my favorite Tom Baker Doctor Who episodes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Great. I saw that the BFI.
Yeah.
With the we had the panel as well, so it had Tom Baker on the panel. It had Philip Hinchcliffe on the panel. You had Stephen Moffat on the panel. This was in 2013. It was brilliant. So you got to see it on the big screen, and I managed to get the last question into Tom Baker. I wish to God I can remember what I asked. And it's really nice that what they put on YouTube. They didn't put the question and answer sessions at the end. So sadly, it seems lost to time.
Well, if you ever do remember it, let me know. I would like to hear that. I love it.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
My number 9 episode, of course, is called simply Aurak.
Oh yes, that was another one I was thinking about. Yeah,
I love Insor. Was a fun character, although he didn't last long. The creator of Aurak. Now, of course, in this episode, Peter Tuddenham didn't do Aurak's voice. This actor did. Who's good God, man? Why am I forgetting his name at the moment? Damn me. Yeah, he was great though, and I love the character. What was that guy's name? Derek Farr. That's right. I believe it was Derek Farr. I think that was his name. I think it is. Anyway, again, our first appearance of the supercomputer Aurak that doesn't think he's a computer, because his Blake asked him, he's a computer, and he goes, he certainly is not. He's a genius, a brain genius. And I've actually seen a couple of people, as you probably have, make Aurak at cons and stuff, make their own little Aurak. He looks ridiculous, which is he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes. And Insor, who created something called the Tariel Cell, which is in every single computer in the galaxy, they're all based on his technology, means Aurak can read anything in any computer and access to any information, which makes, you've already got the Liberator. Now you've got Aurak, and it dovetailed nicely into the following episode, Redemption, when the system grabbed them. Without Aurak, there's so many times that they are toast.
Yeah. And it's important that Aurak's there as well, because once the Liberator is destroyed, they've lost a wonderful resource, and sort of Aurak is kind of even more vital, because without Aurak, their intelligence is stunted completely.
And Aurak thinks it's a being, and well, it is in a sense, which is why in orbit, when it wants to survive, although it probably would have anyway, Villa weighs 73 kilos, Avon. Villa, he doesn't care. He said, look, he figures his best chance of survival is with Avon, because Avon is a survivor. Blake's reckless. Avon's a survivor. Aurak knows that. Throughout the series, it was kind of there were a lot of hints to that sort of thing.
Well, there's an awful lot, because Avon's not stupid by any means, and he's a sort of tech genius, computer wizard. So I think he and Aurak have a sort of special kind of understanding, even though they're sparring off of each other like nobody's business. And Avon doesn't like to be outdone, does he? So he's always trying to get one over on Aurak. But you can tell Aurak is more comfortable with Avon than just about anybody else, even though they do have this kind of spat all the time. Because Aurak is the most condescending bloody thing on in the universe. So it's just, is that a question? Always ask, is that a question? So.
And he's a great character. That little bitty hunk of plastic.
Yeah.
Again, wonderfully voiced by Peter Dunham later after this episode, is a great, and I mean a great character. It's at the end of this episode where they have a great cliffhanger where they ask him to predict something when he's there with the crew.
Mm.
And he shows them the Liberator being destroyed. Space vehicle will be destroyed. They say, is that a prediction? It is an immutable certainty. And you have to see redemption after it to understand what happened. But yes, it left him on that big cliffhanger. Let's see here. Oops, sorry. Aurak wins arguments versus Avon, but Avon unplugs him to get the last word. Yeah, it's true sometimes.
That's always the last resort. It's like, well, if you can't win the argument, just unplug him so he can't answer back.
Eastland, that's right. Look, Blake. And there's a line Avon has later that I'm going to get to later that talks about that. Blake, well, look, he'll get you killed. Well, well, again, speaking of going back to Pressure Point for a second, in trial, when it opens up, when Blake's all sad and about to leave to go down to this planet to sulk on this weird planet, Avon, tells him, if you should get into trouble, one of your followers, one of your 3 remaining followers, may have to risk his life to save you. And he says, you may have to talk them out of it, won't you? And he goes, oh, yes, I will. They might even listen to you this time. Well, why not? After all, I don't get them killed. And a little exchange.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Avon is just a mic drop.
Every damn time. And speaking of Avon great, we could do a whole show on just great Avon scenes. I did an old VHS tape like for 5 hours of Avon scenes one time. I bet you I could copy them together. And at the end of Aurak is a beauty. One of my favorites is, of course, it was even ripped off on Firefly later. When Travis is about, she says, go ahead and kill him, Travis. He's about to kill Blake and Callie and steal Aurak. All of a sudden, Travis's hand is blasted, and Avon and Villa show up because don't move. And Blake says, good shot, Avon. And Avon goes, I was aiming for his head. Classic.
That's brilliant.
Oh, good God. And he was probably. I don't know. He probably would have hit his head if he was aiming for it. He
probably just said it, to get another quip in,
It's probably tough to aim those curling irons.
I mean, listen, Avon could make James Bond blush with his one-liners,
Oh, they're the best.
They really are. Just that alone is enough to make you watch Blake 7. It's just waiting for the next Avon quip, the zinger.
Derek, I think, well, it just depends. He's either sitting on Gauda Prime still, or some of what happened in a couple of the book sequels that I've read. That'd be a long story to explain what happened to Aurak in those, if they count. And it just depends. Afterlife is an interesting one I recommend, by the way. The 2 Darrow books that he's done later, not as much, but they're interesting. Let's see here.
There was it wasn't addressing Aurak, but there was some sort of quite early audio dramas. There was one with Avon just after everything, after everyone got wiped out, where he sort of ends up with these former friends of his or something, and they're off to do some sort of heist. But it's another setup, and just to choose, I think it's a girlfriend of his or something that he suspects has double-crossed him. It's quite an interesting story. It's on YouTube, actually.
Nice.
Look that up. I can't remember what it's called, though.
It's a testament to how great the writing show on this is, that they can make a little piece of plastic like that a great character.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's kind of like it's canine without the dog, you know.
Yes.
And a bit more sass, you know.
Except he's nastier.
Even though canine can be quite sarcastic, but
yeah, but loyal still.
Yes.
Or I will drop your ass. It will drop your ass in the first airlock.
Yeah, whatever suits its purpose. Yeah. Exactly. I love that. I mean, like, even, you know, you think human beings couldn't get any more double crossy or you know, dangerous. You know, you've got this bloody Perspex box with Christmas lights in it. You think, well, can you trust that bugger as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Zen, again, just a internal computer with the big old. I love Zen. I love
this is why. I mean, not only was Liberator a beautiful ship, but losing that ship and then losing the computer as well then was just too much. It was so sad the way he died, if you want to use that.
Yeah, Slave was okay, but Zen was better.
Yeah, Slave was a bit too toadying, you know. But I kind of think Avon enjoyed calling him Slave.
Of course. Yes, someone has an expensive sense of humor. My number 8 is Aftermath. Aftermath, there's science and English. No, sorry. I love it. The introduction of Dana. It was a pretty good character.
I really enjoyed it. I loved her entry. I liked her character straight away.
Yes.
And I remember as a kid watching and being sort of fascinated by her because she was such a great, strong, feisty character. You know, I really, really did enjoy her. And I think kind of because Callie was kind of a bit sort of soft and, you know, Jana was just kind of, well, she'd been long gone. That she was kind of a bit of a breath of fresh air, really. You know, brought a new dynamic to the team. At first, when you think she's gonna get it off with Avon, you know, that was not expected. Yeah.
Yes, and then well, again, you know what? You mentioned Callie. Not to backtrack too much, but they really changed her character from her first appearance. From
very much so.
Squad, she was practically a Klingon.
Yeah,
and then later
antagonistic,
completely. Yes, was companions for my death. I tend to raid this and kill until I am be killed. And then by the time they got somewhere into the really fairly early on, really very early on, not too many episodes after that, she was the heart and soul, the compassion. By the way, there's no problem with changing characters early on. I mean, I'm just saying there's some severe, so much so she came to a point where she was almost like the bleeding heart, you know, of the ship, where in the pacifist and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think she was kind of like the glue, wasn't she? She was the sort of sort of mediator between Blake and Avon, and kind of was the peacekeeper, really, sort of a linchpin to kind of keep it sort of sweet and, you know, kind of trying to keep it all together. But she, in a subtle way, not in an overly sort of motherly way, but in a kind of, you know, just sort of soothing the friction, I think. But she could be quite feisty in her own right too. You know, if she set her mind on something, she was bloody going to do it. Like, she was going to transport down to the planet. You know, she was going. You know, even if Avon was just like, I'm not going, or Villa. You know, well, I'm going.
Absolutely,
I like that about her. She was. Game, you know, she had a moral compass. I think that was the thing.
I love Callie. So Callie was terrific. I'm just saying that it was a change.
I didn't like her off-screen death, I have to say.
Yeah, it was sad, but she wanted to leave the show. I mean,
it's a shame they couldn't get her to do a scene, you know. That would have been even really, really, really sad. But Aftermath, however, she's not even in.
But Aftermath is a great episode for not only introducing Dana, which is excellent. It's special for this one right here. This is the beginning of the Avon Servalan dynamic. They only barely met like once back in, I believe it was Weapon, and they really and then or acted Weapon, but they met, and she knew about him, but they didn't know each other that well. They knew each other, but not knew each other well until, in terms of the episodes. I'm not talking about anything else, ancillary to that. In Aftermath, and that's why this is such a great episode.
Stay quite still.
Stay quite still, absolutely. And his reaction's great. Yeah, he's a Servalan because you don't seem surprised. Why should I be? Our meeting here is the most unlikely thing that I could imagine. Therefore, we meet. Surprise seems inappropriate somehow.
It has a perverse kind of logic.
Oh, I forgot. You got well done. Yes, and it was be too hardwired into the ship, hence the name. So Slave was originally intended. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. I like Slave. I just miss Zen. I miss the Liberator. I like Scorpio.
It's the same voice actor, wasn't it?
It was Peter Dunham again. Did a lot of stuff. But we haven't actually talked about Villa. We're going to get to some Villa. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think Villa. I don't think he was a coward. I think he was just lazy and reluctant to get involved, and obviously self-preservation was important to pretty much all of them. Yeah. But
he admitted to being a coward, though.
when he was called upon, when he was in the midst of things, he kicked into action. I think he was a chicken. No, I think again, just reluctant, self-survival.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want an easy life. I just want to get drunk, get laid, and
well, yeah. He also once said, "There's not a lock I can't open if I'm scared enough."
Yeah. But he's another survivalist,
He is, yes. Yeah. He is a great character. Another one.
And he's a great foil for Avon. I just love the two together. It's like,
oh my God, Killer,
it's magic
by Robert Holmes. The episode Killer by Robert Holmes is one of the best. That and Gambit, the two best.
Yeah.
Avon Villa episodes.
Yeah, Gambit was on my list.
We're going to be on Gambit soon, and it is. Good God, those two. Yes, absolutely. And again, it was something about Robert Holmes. He loved to write those two characters. Of course, great Doctor Who writer, one of the great Doctor Who writers. Wrote some great episodes. And yes, I love it. But on this one, no Villa, no Cali. It's just Avon, Dana, and Servalan. And we get, of course, Dana's little origin. But what's really crucial about this episode that makes it so great are these two right here. They are, this is where they get to know each other. And I love the scene when they're in Mellenby's underground ships there. Hal Mellenby ship. And they're talking about what's going on with the war and all sorts of kind of stuff. She's trying to pull her usual Servalan stuff, like manipulating him.
Yeah.
Starts to, kissing him and all this stuff, and says imagination is our only limit. But all this kind of her little speech she gave him, and he's going for it. He's not going for it. Puts his arm around her neck, throws her to the floor, and says, "Imagination, my only limit. I'd be dead in a week."
He knows the score.
Yeah, he knows better. It's like, no, I don't think I want to die. I mean, yeah, I can. You look great, but don't want to turn my back on you for a second. You can't.
Well, it's like she says to him, "I'm going to be honest with you." He said that would be mildly disconcerting.
In that Avon way, that great Avon way he says it. Yeah. Oh God, and it's a great episode for a lot of things again, but it's obviously aftermath of Star One and the big battle with the aliens and with the Andromedans. But it's part of a trilogy. Star One, Aftermath, and Power Play are a trilogy, and a great trilogy. I love, but standalone, they're all great as well.
Yeah.
And this one is a top notcher. And moving to number, where am I? 7. This one might not be on too many people's lists, but I friggin' love. And again, there's another Serverland episode. I love the Harvest of Kairos.
Oh yes, yeah. This guy. I mean, I think this would definitely be classed as problematic today.
Oh hell yeah! Oh my god! Because as soon as he meets her, she brings him to the bridge because she's trying to take. This is a great Avon episode too, but it is a Serverland episode.
Woman, you're beautiful.
Yeah, she just says nothing to say to Serverland. Great performance, by the way, from a guy. The actor was named Andrew Burt,
Right.
and I've seen him in other stuff. I think you probably have, but yes, she says you have nothing. Have you nothing to say to Serverland? And yes, he just says, "Woman, you're beautiful," and grabs her and force kisses her. And
Yeah.
Way.
God, take this primitive to the punishment cells.
Yep. And then he knocks a couple of them, gets the gun, holds the gun on her. And she goes, "Will you obey me?" That's her doing that there with her usual grandiose Silverland type way.
And she's really turned on by this because, like, no one dares do that to her. But she's kind of like, actually,
she likes it. Yeah, I mean, so all these other, she's surrounded by mutoids and soy boys and and yes men and all this kind of stuff. There's that scene in Avalon where she comes in with the fur coat, doesn't she? She just takes it off, she just drops it on the floor, and this male mutoid just picks it up dutifully. Yeah, well, he says to her, he says, "You surround yourself with mindless men and heartless mutoids."
Yeah,
this guy is a poet, and again, another wonderful thing about the show, the fascinating writing of these characters. He's not a Federation thug, as he's referred to later, and he's not one. Tarrant says he's not one. He's not a fascist or anything like that.
He's just a worker.
He's a worker, but he used to be a captain. He was a Federation officer, and he decided he didn't like it. And he just became a worker. He's not like Blake.
He's a really good tactician.
Right, but he's not like Blake. He's not an idealist that thinks he could destroy the whole Federation. He knows he can't, but he's not. He has morals. He doesn't want to be any part of that crap. He just works. It's one of the. It's again, there are all these nuances about people. He's not. He could be out there fighting like Blake does. He just figures, "Hey, you're not going to beat it. I don't care. They're all a bunch of inhumans. Nobody wants to listen. I'm just going to work and mind my own business." But then he sees, he gets called to the front. He sees Serverland, and all of a sudden, he decides to help her. We don't know why. Maybe he wants to change her. Maybe he thinks, we don't know. We'll never know. But maybe he thinks changing her, teaching her some humanity is not the worst idea. He does try to do that. He's a noble character. At the same time, he's not. He respects Tarrant, but he's also willing to let him rot on that planet full of monster thingies. He's such a nuanced character, such a well-written character, beautifully played by this actor, and just shows another thing how this show gets you in the gut, because all the things we go through with this character that we learn about him and what happens, gone in an instant at the end. Boom, you're never going to see him again.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's really good crafting of a single episode character. I mean, Chris Chibnall, take note.
Yeah,
this is how you do it. I mean, a character that appears in one episode and you're totally on board with him, like, because he's so different from anyone else within the Federation, and he's not a cardboard cutout. There is some depth and nuance to him. I mean, at first he comes across as just being very belligerent and cocky, but he's clearly earned it, and he gets her respect and trust almost immediately. Because she's not used to someone like that just kind of taking control, and so she thinks, well, this guy's definitely an improvement on Travis.
Yes, yep, and he's not a sniffler, and if she'd listen to him. She'd have the Liberator, and who knows what his plans are. Was he going to try to humanize her? Was he going to try to make her more compassionate? Was he going to? Would she stab him in the back later? Probably. Who knows? But just imagine. Of course, our friends from the Liberator would all be toast, but he would have.
He's the one who really got her closer than anyone else to getting the Liberator.
Yes, that's right.
She had it, and he was just like the golden boy for her, and we really thought, well, this is a game changer. No, it wasn't to be. Didn't last very long.
And well, again, and not only that, this show is not without its Star Trek qualities in terms of brilliant concepts as well, because this episode has a brilliant concept in the saffron rock. They were at the beginning of the episode. Avon was obsessed with this rock that he'd found on this planet. It was just like in his hand, a hand-sized rock that he's holding in his hand called saffron that he found on a planet called saffron. And he scanned it. Orak scanned it and saw a capacity charged, saw a supercomputer. Zen saw a capacity charged brain. Callie saw her parents. She thought.
Yeah.
So he's trying again. All through the episode, all this crap going on with the piracy. Avon doesn't care. He's obsessed with this little rock. Terrence pissed at him because he won't help out. They end up in this situation down on the planet. He seems totally detached from everything, meaning Avon. And then all of a sudden, when they get in this trouble, they get in this ridiculous little spaceship thing. That's the only thing they have left because they've been left on the planet because they got caught out, because Avon wasn't paying attention as much as he should, because Tarrant was impetuous, and because Jarvik was smart and took advantage of it.
Tarrant is such a dick so many
times.
He's
a dick. I love him, but he's a dick. And they get in this situation, and I love the concept of the saffron rock. He built it into as a life form. It basically explains it as a life form that lives in the dark side of a planet, and as sort of like animals that bristle out their fur to defend themselves. It's a defense mechanism. It reflects back a slightly larger image of anything that scans it. And in this case, he built it into this little bitty rinky-dink spaceship that they're flying into space, and it fooled Zen into seeing a superior spacecraft, bigger, and Servalan doesn't even question it. She believes in the computer. Jarvik's trying to teach her this whole time. Trust your instincts. Computers are crap sometimes. Yeah. He's already proven to her computers get you nowhere. It needs individualism and exceptionalism and creativity. She doesn't get it because she's from a sterile dictatorship. She doesn't understand it. She listens to the computer, the base logic, instead of the intuition of the man who's telling her this is nuts. He's laughing his ass off because he knows it's a trick. She doesn't listen to him. She's scared. She's superstitious in a sense of computers, and it costs her the Liberator. Unfortunately, it accidentally gets Jarvik killed. Brilliant story.
Yeah, so it's a tragic kind of story for his character, because this could have been a real game changer, and it could have changed the whole course of the Federation. We just will never know, what impact he may have had. And it's it's really quite tragic. But this is Servalan sort of losing again. She's always so close, but yet so far. It's always that interplay. And that's why when we had that other episode where she actually wins won over on the crew. And it just doesn't happen very often.
I love
it's usually her fear, her self-preservation kicks in, and she loses her nerve, because she wants to live, and that's the overriding principle. I think that's quite the overriding principle for most of the characters. But I mean, I think that desire for power is much less than her desire for security.
Yes. Notable, by the way, great Avon scene when the crew is there on the flight deck with her, and she's threatening them to try to get control of the Liberator. And basically, Terrence says, go get stuffed. But before they're about to kill Dana or whatever. And Avon breaks in and says, all right, Servalan, if he won't, I will. And she says, no, Avon. He goes, Thank you, Avon. But with your qualities, I probably would have spared you, though, or whatever. You might have been next, but I probably would have spared you. He says, well, let's get on with it. Introduce yourself to Zen. And he tells her, basically, he tells Zen, you will obey her orders on this one condition. She says, no conditions. Sorry, too late. That order has to be completed by me. Unless she says, I'll make the conditions. She says, won't cut much ice with Zen, unless, of course, you'd like to take them apart and reorganize the program. I should warn you, I'm the only one in the galaxy who could put it back together. Just, you seem to be forgetting I have the power of life and death over your friends. Well, then exercise it if you must. But kill me and you'll never control the Liberator.
Brilliant. I love that.
It's so great.
Yeah, he's always getting one over on her. And that's why that one story, like the gold story, is just like she finally gets one over on him.
Oh yeah. Yep. It was great. Yeah. She said, "Your skin always did come first, didn't you?" He goes, "Would you reproach me for that?" God, I love it. I love it. And then, yeah, of course, she kind of gets a kind of laugh at him, which is Gilring, when she ends up sticking him back on Kairos. But even Avon isn't perfect. No. You could have, Avon, you did great, buddy, but you didn't quite get it across that finish line, pal. But but he got her in the end there, so to speak. And then my next one is another brilliant episode, number 6, is Terminal.
Ooh.
Last episode of the 3rd season. Again, I know it's a broken record. They're all Avon episodes. Sorry. The show's Avon.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
I'm totally on board with that. Yeah. Yeah. Any Avon light episode is, it's tricky to live without Avon for too long.
Oh, and this one, dude, all of the I love that outfit, by the way. I don't know what it is about that outfit.
Yeah, this is peak Avon.
Yes, those gloves, man.
Studs,
yeah, and I love the scene where obviously he threatens to kill Tarrant to get out of his way early on, but when he's this scene right here when he's about to beam down the terminal, he's telling him he's programmed everything. If he doesn't come back, then get out of here. And they go, "Well, come on now, we're not going to leave you." And leave you there? He says, "That's exactly what I mean. This is my problem. None of you were involved." And then they're all, "We got your back. Don't worry about it." They're trying to be all, teammates and all like they always do. No matter what, we'll back you up. Do whatever you got to do. And this way, he just can't resist. He's so much of a bastard. He has to turn around and say, "One last thing. I don't need any of you. I needed the Liberator to bring me this far, but this is as far as you go. I don't want you with me. I don't want you following me. Understand this. Anyone who does follow me, I'll kill them." And then, however, what does he do? Which is, again, why it kind of contradicts that in a sense. When it turns out, all along, he's going after Blake, whom he claims to hate, who's always acted as the spoil against. What's he been doing all along? Chasing Blake. Good God. This episode has everything. Let's see. Matthew says the murder mystery in season 1 is the only weak episode. That's Mr. that he thought was weak. Is the only one he's seen so far. That's Missed into Destiny, by the way. Yeah. Avon's pretty great in that one too, though.
Yeah, if you're stuck in an episode you're not sure about, just stick with Avon. You'll be fine.
And you're fine. In this one, yeah, and I'll speed it up here, but I'm just saying this one, again, great idea. The concept of the planet terminal. You've got the great exchange and the cameo by Gareth Thomas as, well, sort of Blake. To find out that all this time he's being manipulated by Servalan and her Federation doctors, feeding him this information that she basically, when she tells him that Blake is dead, and which is a lie.
Yeah. She
tells him he's dead, and that she's used him to trick him to get here, and all this other kind of crap. I love his reaction. Mr. I'll kill you all, leave me alone, all this kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
When he talks to Blake, and again, when he's talking in his mind to Blake, I love when Blake says, "It must have been so dull, having no one to argue with." And he says, "Well, now there were times when your simple-minded certainties would have been refreshing." Careful, Avon.
Your sentiment is showing.
That's your imagination. But later, he goes, "We made a deal. You promised me Blake." All he wants is Blake all of a sudden. Again, he knows, and he can't admit it, but he can sometimes. And when she said, because he even says, "I knew you wouldn't let Blake die." And he says, "Blake and I, death is something Blake and I faced on a number of occasions. I always thought his death and mine might be linked in some way." Well, then later when he finds out she is dead, the look on his face when we find out he is dead, or she tells him that anyway.
Yeah.
And is he pissed because of that? Yes, but he's pissed because he was used.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. He doesn't
And
like being manipulated.
he's about to kill her, but of course they got guns on everybody, and of course we won't even go into the sad death of the Liberator. Oh my God.
Oh God, no, too much.
However, it was funny though. It was, again, this shows how great the show is. It plays something terrible for a laugh at the very end there when she beams up there, and Avon doesn't know it's being destroyed because he's been busy. And they say, you should watch this, Avon. And he's even admitting, goes, she won. I let her take the Liberator. He goes, no, she didn't win. We all came out losers. Look at this. And then, of course, he sees it blow up. And the guy, let's get out of here. We got a lot to do. And he wants one of those Avon endings, he walks off because she's blown up on the ship. And he just gives the smile. She's dead. Screw it.
Well, that's it. And he's just like, I could have had it all. But hey, didn't happen.
At least she's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. My number 5, again, is another Avon surprise countdown.
Yes.
Oh, man. I love this one. I really like what I liked about the character of Del Grant, sister of Anna Grant, was one of the things this show does well is, don't get me wrong, I love the exaggerated Hollywood epic with where everyone looks like a superhero all the time, even if it's not a superhero film. They all look perfect and everyone's beautiful. On Blake 7, real people, they all just look like real people. This guy's this badass mercenary type. No, he just looks like a regular dude. Avon still even just likes a regular dude. Look at Blake, he's just like some guy. And yet, because in real life, that's what some revolutionaries and, mercenaries and people like that would look like. And yet this is a good turn by this actor. I can't remember his name, but back in this is our first look into Avon's past, where we first learn about his love, Anna Grant, and what happened to him and how Avon got caught.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, her brother, Del Grant, who blames Avon for her death. And the episode itself is tense. They're looking for a man named Dockley to find out the information on Star 1, the Federation Computer Complex Control that they hope to find without getting one killed this time.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. What's that? Killer episode with Tynus. Yeah, I love those vinyl. Yeah, I like that too. That was a great episode. Robert Holmes. We mentioned Killer. That's a great Avon and Villa episode. So do you remember this episode at all?
It's not one that stands out to me. But anything with Avon is is the bee's knees. I mean, I need to do another whole complete rewatch. So I started. I started a few weeks ago, and then obviously it got taken down from YouTube because I don't have the box set, unfortunately. But then it sort of put pay to that. But now it's back up on it's now on BritBox, so I've got very little excuse.
You'll love number 4 though. Number 4 is Gambit.
Oh yes, yeah. This was on my list.
Oh my God,
it's so camp that guy. It's just so ridiculous.
I've watched this one so many times, dude. It's just it's crazy. It is.
It's very Doctor Who. This one, I think, is one of the sort of most Doctor Who style.
Robert Holmes again.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that definite feel about it.
It's again a multifaceted three-tier story.
Yeah, that's it. It's got so much going on in this one. So you've got sort of Tarrant has a big job on this. You've got you've got Avon and Villa who are just absolutely brilliant in this as well. Yeah, I just find this episode is so silly and so over the top.
Well,
Travis, you've got
you got Travis Servalan thing going on. It was really great.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. That is true. Duggan from City of Death. He did play that. The guy who played Del Grant did play Duggan in one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes, City of Death. Yes, indeed, Matthew Pounder. That's right. But yes, this episode has, like you said, it has the Avon and Villa story, which is the most fun of it. Then it has the Blake looking for Dockley story, which was a cyber surgeon that he was trying to find information. More
Yeah.
Star One. This was in their Star One quest. And then you had Servalan and this guy who runs this planet that they were on this planet, this something world. Is it? God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the world, the name of the planet.
Freedom.
Freedom. No, it was something world. It was Freedom City. You're
Freedom
right.
City. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Freedom City. And anyway, yeah, you have him, Krantor, which is pretty interesting. Again, they never write bad characters, even ones that are sleazeballs. They make them interesting. This actor, of course, is really good.
Villa really thinks he's going to have a fun time on this planet.
Yes, we all. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
He's going to get drunk. He's going to gamble. He's going to have some fun.
Of course. We have John Leeson, by the way, the great John Leeson.
Yeah.
Affirmative master is in this one.
Very good.
I love him. I met him once. Really nice guy. Yes, he's been on a couple of Blake Sevens, and he's been on, of course, Doctor Who and stuff. But he was in Mission to Destiny, actually. So he's in a couple of them.
Mm.
But I love it. I also love the fact, again, that you could even be a little silly and be fun. For example, Aurak could shrink himself, we now know.
Yeah, I love that. A portable handheld.
Aurak, yes.
There you go.
They could have just had Aurak doing it from the ship. They could have.
Easily. Aurak.
But they just want, yeah, there you go. Exactly. It says laptop.
Yeah.
So, yes, they could have easily written in where he's telling them everything through a bracelet.
Yeah.
The same exact. Aurak could do it from. He reads computers all over the galaxy, but for some reason they thought it necessary to bring him in. Who cares? It was hilarious. And dude, of all the Avon lines that are funny and all these things, very few things make me just lose it. Then when it is announced that Villa will be playing speed chess for his life against the Clute, Avon's sitting there eating, and Paul Darrow does the spit take. He just spits his food up. He can't in surprise. I don't know what it is, man. I'm like, what is priceless?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's see. Irrelevant fact. My cat loves Problembeing. Hey, there you go.
Oh.
Comes and blocks the watching of YouTube when kitty cat.
Oh.
You're loved by cats.
I do love cats. I have to say, I miss my cat Benny. He was beautiful.
Man.
Yeah.
There's a kitty cat right there. Look at that.
Oh.
Yes, Mr. Bigglesworth, except he's got hair in that case. Yes. Let's say. Oh. Yes. Well, someone mentioned Deep Roy is in this one. Deep Roy's in every damn thing. Deep Roy plays the Clute in this one, and also the homunculus in the great Doctor episode, The Talons of Wing Chang.
Yes.
I can't say that title without saying it the way that he does. Let the talons of Wing Chang shred your flesh. Oh, sorry. I love that voice.
You do it well, sir. You do it well.
Thank you. But the cat's probably going, God, shut up that big fat doofus and that Problembeing dog. Yeah. Cats do that. I'm sorry, they do. No. I love kitties, though. Lovely kitty there.
Beautiful creatures.
Where were I? Okay, so this one, Gambit, not a whole lot to say. Just I love it. We'll move on. But
it's a great story. I mean, it's so over the top and so camp. But it's a joy to watch. It's one of those episodes that are just so much fun. I mean, the characters, the situation is so bonkers. But it's a real break from the sort of very serious earnestness of the whole sort of progression of the story. It's such a nice little break.
Yes, considering where they were about to go. Yeah. Where they were about to go, considering, yes. A little bit of again, that part of the episode's fun. You still had some relatively serious stuff going on. You had a couple of nice scenes. If you're a cat fight fan, you had Jenna and Callie faking a cat fight, which was kind of fun, but no, that's if you're into that sort of thing, I guess.
Problematic.
Problematic. Yes, you patriarchy. I bet those ladies I've been telling you about with that show probably spent like a half hour on that when they have an episode like, oh God, they're fighting, sure, cat fight. Okay, yeah. Oh God, I can't hear it.
It's like when I listen to Big Finish Doctor Who. I mean, every Big Finish audio is like two women talking about the Doctor. Going, oh God, he's so useless. Oh my God, that man. Oh, he's so ridiculous. Oh, that man. Oh God, that man. He's just so stupid. Oh my God, that man. It's just like that's all it is. Like seriously, Big Finish, shut up. Write some stories. Stop making everything about whamanism and just fuck off.
Exactly.
I mean, the Doctor is not a stupid man. Stop trying to make him come across as this eye rolling. That man's just so pathetic. Oh my God, that man. Oh yeah. You know, it's like, look, we know when you get two of these women in the room, they're going to tear each other's faces off.
Yeah,
but they never do. They're always the bestest of friends. You know.
Yeah, I don't mind that women bitch about men, but I don't think I want to listen to a Big Finish audio about it.
Mm.
I mean, women do, we bitch about each other. But
there was one recently. What was it? The Stranded with the Eighth Doctor, and he's just moping about and being miserable, and there's these women telling him to stop being the Doctor. It's over, and it's just like, shut up! He's the Doctor. Let him go off and be the Doctor. And they're trying to convince him to sit down, take life seriously, become a landlord, and pay the bills and get a job. And it's just like, fuck off. And that's all they're doing is talking about bills and rent, and it's just so boring. Anyway, that's had to get that off my chest.
No, I hear you there, by the way.
Ridiculous. And there's this one trans character in there, and it's like one of the female companions is sexually attracted and wants to go on a date with this trans, and then it's so clearly quite a deepish voice, sort of effeminate but yet masculine voice, shall we say? And he's like, I have to tell you something. I'm trans. I'm transgender. This is like, no shit, really.
That's a Big Finish audio.
Yeah.
What do we need that for? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, they have to get messaging.
They need to tell us. They need to tell us what to think. That's right. Man.
But it's just like,
we don't
really, I can't. I mean, when you first hear the character speak, you don't think it's necessarily a woman. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah. It was just ridiculous.
No, I got you.
Ridiculous. But everything's in the world that they believe should exist rather than one that actually exists. And that's fine, but like, do I want it in my Doctor Who? Not really.
Me either. We can have those conversations because I'm all willing and game. Can we just do it outside of our escapism? Is that possible? That's where I stand on that one. My number 3. And good God, it's tough to have it this low because it's so great. But Star One, oh man, one of the great Avon speeches of all them all. And I know I do a terrible Avon, but I still have to.
No, you don't.
Let's try.
No. I think you do it justice, sir.
Thank you. Well, Blake, they're having the argument now. We're going to go to Star One. But Blake says something like, "Why are you listening to this drivel, Blake? We can take Star One. Let's get on with it." And then was it? Jenna says, Barry Sterling, when did you become a believer? And Avon says, he basically says, show me anyone who believes in anything, and I will show you a fool. Blake says, I meant what I said on Goth, Avon. We're not going to use Star One to control the Federation. We are going to destroy it. And he said, I never doubted that. I never doubted your fanaticism. As far as I'm concerned, you could destroy whatever you like. You could stir up 100 revolutions. You could lead the rabble to victory, whatever that might mean. As long as there's an end to it. When Star One is done, it's finished, Blake. And I want it finished. I want it over and done with. I want to be free. Well, Callie interjects, but you are free now. Avon says, I want to be free of him.
Of him, yeah.
I never realized. You really do hate me, don't you? Brilliant. And then he doesn't answer it. He just says, when we have dealt with Star One, I will take you back to Earth. And then the Liberator is mine. Agreed? He says, agreed. But you know what, Blake, he could never stop. He goes, assuming the others go along with it, because he's a manipulator.
Mm. There's a great scene with him and Travis as well.
Oh, that's the best. That's the second. At least those two are the best.
When Put the gun down, Avon. It's too late to stop it now.
Convince me.
Be polite and I may let you live. Be informative and I may let you die.
You'll want that after I shot off an arm or a leg or two. But before he said, I thought you were supposed to be one with brains. He says, brains, but no heart. Now talk or scream, Travis. The choice is yours. Almost as good as when he shoots the slug, when he meets the young woman, Lorena, who in the base, who's the only human left, and he shoots one of the Andromedans, and they revert to their slug form, and she goes, "What are they?" And he goes, "Unfriendly," which is fortunate, really. They'd be difficult to love. Fuck it. And then he doesn't stop. Then when he finally kills Travis, and he falls down the well, and he goes, "Is he dead? Even is Travis dead?" Then he turns around and shoots him. He falls down and screams, "He is now." Just another great Avon scene. Too many great scenes. But again, this is the episode where we find out that Star One is trying to protect the galaxy from an invasion.
Yeah.
And from Andromeda. And Travis is sold out to the Andromedans, of course. We never see the details of why, how any of that happens. In the previous episode, The Keeper, they just find out where the location of Star One was. And this is it. They realize that we can't destroy Star One. It's keeping that minefield that is blocking the Andromedans from invading, which, of course, they're about to try to destroy the minefield with the help of Travis. So they decide they can't destroy Star One. All of a sudden, they manage to save it, but part of it is messed up. So part of the minefield is destroyed. The ships are starting to come in, and Blake makes Avon promise to him, we'll hold them off. They send the warning to the Federation. That we have a fight coming. Doesn't matter who. Old allegiances don't mean a whole lot right now.
Yeah.
We're being invaded. They want to wipe us out. They don't care about their politics. They want to wipe us out. And so they've decided they're going to have to fight alongside the Federation, but the Liberator needs to hold the point until the ships get there. And I love the scene between Avon and Blake when he goes, Blake was injured, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake, tries to come to the flight deck to help, and he says, "Could you stay? What are you doing here? Could you trust me to handle this just this once?" He goes, "I thought I might be helped. In that condition, all right, I'll go back. Can you manage?" "Yes." Then he turns around as he's walking, says to Avon, he says, "Avon, for what it is worth, I have always trusted you from the very beginning."
Yeah.
Look at the look on Avon's face.
Yeah.
And that ending, I love when they're about to fight. They're coming to that wonderful music, and they're coming to that Dudley Simpson incidental music coming through, and they got the ships coming through, and the Liberators about to hold off on a whole fleet. And was it when he says, I gave him my word, and it was Genesis, why, Avon? And he goes, "Why not?" And they're about to be attacked, and Villa says, "Avon, this is stupid." He goes, when did that ever stop us? And then at least 6-7 years before they did it on Star Trek The Next Generation, The Best of Both Worlds, ending in a cliffhanger with Riker saying "fire" at the Borg, you have Avon saying the words "fire," and then boom, the button is pressed and the episode ends. And those lucky enough to be watching it in real time go, "Oh my God, what's going to happen next?" Which we talked about earlier.
This is beautiful. I mean, this is a great sort of. I think this is the moment that solidifies the future of Avon and his loyalty to Blake. Why he goes on the hunt to look for Blake.
Yes.
Because I think he realizes at that moment that he's totally misjudged and mischaracterized Blake all along, and it took an invasion from another galaxy to do it.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, it was amazing. I love this episode. I've watched it so many damn times.
That's a bond right there. That's a bonding session.
It really is. Yeah. He really did care about Blake, and he showed it in his face there. And there's the thing, Avon would never show it, but he'll show it in his face sometimes. And he doesn't, by the way, also, because the show is about character turmoil, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the fact that he cares about anybody. Let's be clear about it. He wishes he didn't. I really believe that.
He will see that as a weakness, because it goes against his self-preservation function. He's primed to care for himself. He's already lost someone dear to him, and he's never going to let that happen to him again. And there he is. You know, he's damn it.
Well, is he still trying to manipulate Avon by saying that? I don't know. He's a master manipulator. I mean, I think Blake is also someone who cares about Avon. And the backtracking a little to the great episode Countdown, there was a great scene I forgot about, showing that, you know, when I love the scene when Del Grant has promised to kill Avon in that episode, and Avon, you know, when they end up having to go off to defuse the bomb that's going to destroy everyone on the planet, and they have to go off. Blake they won't tell him what's going on. Blake knows something's going on between them, and he knows that he told him that Del wants to kill him. When they're about to leave, I love the scene where Blake stops, puts his hand on Grant, and says, "By the way, if anything happens to Avon, I will come looking for you." And he means it. If you know whatever, he's a manipulator. He's a lot of things. He's a zealot, but he means it. He loves his people, and
I think he does. I know he's a manipulator, but everyone is, because everyone's trying to survive. I mean, Avon is more ideologically driven, but I still think that deep down, you know, I mean, I don't know if it's from the very beginning, but I certainly think he relied on Avon. And he gave him ample opportunity, and he did leave him in charge of the ship multiple times. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Like he could have just zapped off, but he left him in charge. You know, I mean, he did take Jenna away with him, but I mean, he could still.
He trusted him.
You know,
he trusted his self-interest too.
Well, exactly, and but I think that through their various experiences together, you know, it's a test of your character, you know, really in a world where you're pursued by this giant fascist corporation, pretty much, you know, that they're gonna chase you to the ends of the universe. Are you going to do it with people or by yourself? You know, you may be in the world's the universe's most powerful ship, or the galaxy's most powerful ship, but you're going to face everything alone. And you know, I think that Avon needs people to recognize him and his genius. He thrives on that. I think. I don't think he's a solitary wolf type. I think he's definitely a pack animal.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, are you ready to be shocked?
Go on,
I'm going to shock you. The number 2 episode is another Avon one. I know you're just astonished. Rumors of Death is a masterpiece. In my opinion. Well, I mean, it would take too long. All the great Paul Darrow performances. This one really gets you right in the gut, because I don't know what it is. I think it's probably, there's some great Avon lines, of course, but this one's not just about the quips. And it dovetails with kind of what we were talking about, you know, about his relationship with Blake, how there's a lot more to him than that. And earlier we talked, you know, with Del Grant, who thought his sister was dead.
Yep.
We find out again. This episode is multifaceted too. There's a little bit another story going on with this woman, Anna Grunt, who is leading a revolt. There's some frustrating things in this episode as well, in a good way. She's taking over the Earth. She does what Blake didn't do, dude. She takes over Earth, essentially, with a small group, because she married her way to the top, you know, and she got to a very high, you know, married a very high positioned person. And it's pretty fascinating stuff. But Avon's going on the assumption, and he's mentioned it in an earlier episode, Children of Alron, before they went to Alron, he was on his way for revenge, and there was an exchange between Avon and Callie that's brought back later in that episode, where she says, "So that's all we're going there? It's just revenge that you want?" He said, "Just and sweet," referring to revenge. And everyone was going along with it. They said, "You're all going along with this?" I said, "I've got nothing else to do. Why not?" And then, you know, they were all cut, you know, because Tarrant and Dana and Villa were in on it with him. And he as you know, goes and lets himself be tortured till he gets to the right guy, finds the right guy, Shrinker.
Shrinker, yeah.
Yeah, and what he does to Shrinker, oh man, dude. uh, they hollow out a tunnel way, way, way deep into the earth. He sets up shop down there so he could show him the picture, interrogate him and show him Anna Grant, who he thinks is dead. He thinks is dead, her picture, and he gets info to find out that it wasn't Shrinker that killed her after all. She was really Bartholomew, an agent that was quote unquote running him, that trapped him, that got him caught. Again, I won't go into the intrigue of the story. You should all watch it. Definitely. Needless to say, this again, it's too good to go into because it takes too long, and I don't want to.
It's a very intense one. I mean, you got a lot of torture. You've got a lot of sort of very intense moments between characters, and it's a great delve deep into the psyche of the protagonist and the antagonist. So you've kind of got quite a serious set of events. It's not an easy watch, this one, I don't think.
No, because one of the most frustrating aspects of it is, again, remember, all Avon cares about is his revenge. They even said when they all eventually beam back down there to go after Servalan, because I love this scene when he finds out from Shrinker, that Bartholomew quote unquote killed Anna Grant. He wants to go after him, and he knows the only way he's going to find out is through Servalan. So he promised, he made a deal with Shrinker. I'll leave you a way out. And then when he's about to leave, he said, "Well, you promised me a way out." And I said, "Oh, I'm a man of my word." In the end, that's all there is, really. And so he throws a gun down on the ground and says, "What's that?" He goes, "That's your way out. It's a better deal than you gave any of your victims."
Yeah.
Leaves him a gun, transports back up to the ship, teleports back to the ship, and the guy is, well, again, leaves it to your imagination. What? Probably going to be dead.
Yeah.
One way or the other. He has killed him.
Yeah.
And not physically. It was great. And he didn't even, I don't think he even ever told the crew what he did to him. They probably just thought he shot him in the face or something. But then he says he wants the best way to go to reach Servalan. He says, You want to go to Servalan? It's face to face with a gun in my hand. There's a hole in your head. Are you crazy? Again, oblivious to the revolt that has been taking place on Earth at this time at the presidential palace. And when they do land there, Tarrant tells Villa when they see some of the dead bodies, he says, "Oh, probably forgot to salute." But he sees these dead Federation soldiers, and he tells Villa, "We seem to have walked into a revolt." And he goes, "So you're among friends?" And he said, "Avon might not see it that way." Well, Blake would, but Avon doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about the revolution at this point.
No, he's not. He's not ideologically driven at all.
Not at all. He wants his info. He wants his revenge. He doesn't give a crap. And there's a side thing that I want to note about the great writing of this show. There are these two characters that are two Federation guards that are just a couple of knuckleheads that are on duty. Watching they're the quote. I got White House or presidential palace security guards that are watching their surveillance guys. They have 4 or 5 different interchanges that shows how this character writes small, characters that aren't in very much, that are so well written for the small time they're in there. Blake 7 always did that so well. A characters could have like 5 lines in a 2-minute scene, and if they then get killed, and you'd feel it.
Yeah,
because they're written as people. These two guys, yes, in Star Wars, stormtroopers are just nothing's behind masks usually, and you're shooting them, whatever. You've seen countless episodes of Blake 7 where sure that the Federation's bad, sure these guards are part of a bad organization, they're still written as human.
Yeah, that's the strength of this episode is the sort of you get a look into the psychology of human existence, really, because it's more about how power changes people, how even as a good sort of in quotes good person can be close to being a killer, and what's the difference between you and the bad guys. There is that kind of interplay of morality, which is quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, it really is. And then, you know, when he finds out that they've chained Servalan to the wall of this wine cellar, but in her own little palace, they've taken over it, they beat her up or whatever. And Avon and Terrence show up, and she thinks Avon did it. She thinks Avon was responsible, and she goes, "You flatter me. Go to hell, Avon." He says, "Probably, but I'd like some information first." Yeah, and then basically when there's this great line when he's talking about it, when, you know, when Terrence, when he says, "Don't you want to be free or whatever?" Avon offers her to free her, and he goes, "Oh, you're offering to set her free, but that's not the same thing. There's a bunch of gorillas just broke into her palace, the height of her palace on Earth, and beat her up and chained her up. And you're telling her you're going to let her go? You know, convince her." And he goes and he looks at her, puts his hand on her neck, and said, "Have you finally lost your nerve? Have you murdered your way to the wall of an underground room?" And she says, "It's an old wall, Avon. It waits. I hope you don't die before you reach it." Some pretty crazy stuff there. And then when he mentions Anna Grant, again, the opportunist in Servalan comes back. She goes, "What?" Oh, and all of a sudden she becomes Servalan again.
Yeah.
She's got a card to deal. And she starts manipulating Avon, saying, you know, basically, you know who, you know, he said, not even Jesku knew who Bartholomew was, but you do, don't you, Avon? That's when Anna comes back down. And it all starts to make sense. He puts it together that, you know, Bartholomew was Anna Grant.
Yeah.
What we don't know is what we find out when, again, it's kind of her fault. She pulls a gun on him. And this woman that he loves so much, he was willing to risk everybody's life to avenge. He shoots her.
Yeah.
I mean, in self-defense, but he still shoots her.
Yeah. It's a really difficult episode.
For two reasons. One, they could have not released Servalan and let the rebels still control the Earth, which they screwed them over. They screwed the rebels over too. And then he kills the woman that he's there to avenge.
Yeah. It's so bonkers. I mean, this is the joy of Blake Seven. It's got a lot of convoluted plots, but they all sort of boil over into this other thing. It's like it's almost like storytelling alchemy, because it just doesn't go where you think it's going to go at all, and it's mind blowing.
When he killed her,
so deep.
It still gets every time I watch it. I love it. It's my number 2 favorite. But it's uncomfortable every friggin' time because, again, you just screwed the whole Earth over because you didn't give a shit. And then you killed the woman you came there that you loved, that you came there to avenge. That a couple of years earlier you met her brother, and he actually eventually forgave you at the end, knowing it wasn't your fault that her death. And it turns out she was alive all along. He mentioned in this episode, your brother thinks you're dead. But then she tells him there, you know, at the last day, I let you go. But she did. She loved him. And go. So there's the big kicker, the big final one, you know, knife in the back.
Yeah.
I let you go. And then he says, no, you never let me go. You never did. And then the ending. Oh, good God. Servalan basically, she's freed her. And everyone, they said something about teleporting, and Villa got the message wrong, so he teleported everyone up accidentally. But Avon had already taken his bracelet off, so all of a sudden he's holding the woman that he loved, that he killed, and he gets a gun to his head. And Servalan says, you know, he says, "Do you really think I care?" She says, "Put the bracelet on, just do it." And she said, "I'm going to send your friends a corpse." And he says, "Tell them to bring you up." And I don't know if Servalan did it on purpose, if she planned to do it this way, but a guy came down to find Sula, who he thought was Sula, who was really Anna, one of her guys, and she reaches her arm over, shoots the guy down, and Avon teleports up. Did she really mean to let Avon go, though?
That's the thing, isn't it? It's so ambiguous. Yeah, I kind of like to think she did. I think I think her life would be so depressing and boring without him.
Derek McManus, that is another. I love those two characters who some days are better than another section leader. And then later, when that character said that got killed, that little annoying turd, the section leader, who was a great character, says, "Some days are better than others." Yeah. Again, so no, that was just a throwback to that scene. I'm sorry, but yes,
Irritating, isn't
would
it?
she have let him go? Would she have let him go? We don't know. I've watched it a million times. I'll never know. But he does, again, he turns back to Avon pretty quickly. He goes back to the ship. He says, Servalan was planning on sending you a corpse. And then Villa hands him a drink, says corpse reviver. And he drinks it and thanks and goes, but rumors of my death. And then he stops and Tarrant fills in, where have been greatly exaggerated. And he just says, well, slightly exaggerated.
I love that.
Oh,
He's so cool and understated, isn't he? It's just
he's brilliant.
A sheer joy.
Now I might really shock you. As we come to an end of the Force, this might be shocking because I don't know if anyone has this as their favorite episode. Okay, I'm a goddamn weirdo. But my favorite episode is called Blake. It's the last one.
That's quite. I think that's a fair.
It's insane.
A lot of people love this. Love this episode. It is so. It is so difficult. Oh my goodness! Yeah,
it's so well made. And let me tell you, whoever directed this one was a great director, I thought, because this episode is really cinematic. There's a scene at the beginning, but of course they have to destroy Xenon base and they take off in Scorpio because of the previous episode Warlord, where where Zukan gave away their their hideout to the
location.
rest of the only pity about this episode was we don't get to say goodbye to Servalan, but I think they kind of thought they might be coming back. I
really thought at the end you'd see her step in.
She should have popped up.
Yeah, definitely.
That would have been nice. But I love it. There's a scene at the beginning that defines the episode to me. That's one of the most brilliant scenes in Blake 7. For me, they're all standing around Aurak on Scorpio, trying to. What are we going to do now? They're all, and we need to find someone else because at this point Avon is interested in politics, but like he was in the previous episode, but because he's trying to expand this anti-Federation alliance that they're all setting up, because he does understand you have to but for his own ends, but he understands it because the Federation is in pieces. He wouldn't be doing it if the Federation hadn't been in pieces and tatters because of the war.
Yeah,
but it's an opportunity. But anyway, so they need to find another what he quote unquote figurehead. And he says, any idiot could be one, as referring to figureheads. When Dana says, well, step right up, Villa. This is your big chance. He goes, any idiot within reason, that is. Because he hates Villa.
Yeah.
So he starts talking about him. And who are you talking about? He says, he's very popular with rebels and rabbles, whatever like that. And finally, he will fight for them. He will fight to the last drop of their blood. With that Avon snarl. And they just tell us who you're talking about, and Villa says it's Blake, isn't it?
Blake, isn't it? Yeah.
You think you found Blake. Well, of course, we cut to a scene where we see Blake Bounty Hunter on Galda Prime. But when we cut back, they're talking about how do you know Blake's alive and all this stuff, and Aurak has traced him, lying through infinity and all this stuff. So he's telling them how basically that he traced them and he knows Blake is on Galda Prime. And they're talking about the law on Galda Prime being lifted with the bounty hunters and all this stuff. And Avon, Terrence says something like, so how long have you known? It's long enough. And the answer to your next question is yes. I'd have left Blake there and said nothing, which is probably a lie. If things had gone to plan according to Zukan. And, but anyway, so he's talking about the law being relaxed on Galda Prime. And there's this great scene where he's, they've lifted all, they put bounty hunters on there. It's the day of the bounty hunter. And he says, thieves, and they cut to Villa. And he goes, killers, and they show Dana. Then they show Sulin. He goes, mercenaries, and they show Tarrant. And then they come back to Avon as psychopaths. With the camera on him, with that smile, are as unwelcome now as the settlers once were. Like, the director's calling Avon a psycho. And the whole season, he was going crazy. Brilliantly.
Yeah.
In a sense. I mean, paranoid. Some called him a paranoid. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, he was going through a lot. And he was, all those years of living on the edge. And I just love that scene. And there's a lot of symmetry in the episode, like later when the ship lands, when Avon's by himself with Aurak in the woods, and you got this really, really haunting boom, 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 music. And he's looking around, he's surrounded by trees. They do that later in the episode. Blake, of course, seeing him again is terrific. He looks like he's been through a lot. His meeting with Tarrant is great. His interactions with Tarrant.
He doesn't know what he looks like, does he? Because he doesn't know who he is.
Yes, he only knows his name. Well, but he knows who Blake is. But yes, he wasn't sure, but Blake knew who he was. And we find out a little bit later that Blake is, trying to move again against the Federation, trying to build an army again.
Yeah, because at first you're not sure if he's changed and just become a mercenary, but he's using it as a as a cover, isn't he? He's sort of trying to build up a new force.
Absolutely, and he's playing this game, which is a dangerous one, of course, this bounty hunter game, and he's got this character. I forget the actor's name, who's Maudrin in one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes, Maudrin Undead.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forget the dude's name, but anyway, he's his partner, and we learn that that Blake is gathering people together, trying to make his new army, his anti-Federation army, starting all this kind of stuff. The basis of an army, and I love the scene where he's talking to his partner, and he basically says, if it is Avon, we shouldn't have long to wait, because he basically says they're all particularly valuable. One has a particularly high price on his head. Meaning Avon has the highest price on his head of all because of Servalan.
Yeah.
Of course. But again, you fast forward to the end, and as Minimus was saying earlier, I didn't watch the show that much when I first had a first chance to. I only watched one or two back in the mid-'80s. And then I watched the very last one. I know this is not a way you should start, but that made me want to go back.
Yeah,
I watched this episode.
That's good. That's interesting.
It made me want to go, all right, I got to see it all now.
Yeah.
Because it's
I mean, as a kid, I remember so long, and I must have been really young because I remembered Blake being in it. And then I remember wondering when Blake was going to come back. It's like, where's Blake? Where's Blake? Every episode, where's Blake? Where's Blake? And then when he comes back, you think, oh yeah, he's back. And then he gets killed, and you're like, oh my fuck. I mean, obviously not swearing as a kid, but
Derek. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was saying that's his favorite episode too. Cool. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was just like you waited so long to see him again, and you think he's going to come back in the crew, and and you're missing the Liberator, because as a kid you don't really understand why the Liberator's no longer there.
Sorry about that, Matthew Pounder. Yeah, it's good to mute if you hadn't seen it yet. If you want to spoil it, but I didn't know.
Sorry about that, fella.
But that's cool. I hope you enjoy it, though. He said I think he just started. Derek McManus. Good God, this episode. I mean, I don't know why, because this is depressing as fuck, and it actually makes me happy when I watch this episode. It's so screwy. I don't like dark stuff very much. You could ask anybody. I'm the Mister. Most of the 99% of the things I like, I can't stand. I don't like darkness, dark shows, dark comics, dark movies that much. I like some, and I love Blake 7. I can't explain it. We humans are just weird. I'll tell you, but yes, he does shoot his real wife in this episode. The lady that Avon murders for no reason. He could have just knocked her out or something. Flat out murders a woman and then played by his wife. Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, but I love it. Yeah, it was like, you tell me what a line through the pattern of infinity is, I'll tell you whether I'm convinced, as Villa said. But this last scene, dude, oh my God.
It's so hard. I mean,
Blake screwed up.
They intended to write a follow-up season, so, I mean, could it have been that they were stunned, not killed?
I think so. I'll tell you what, the book Afterlife did a pretty good job of handling it. If you like just to read a story, I mean, obviously it's not an episode, but out by Tony Atwood, that came out not too long after this, which I really liked the book. It kind of, I'm not sure I like the way it interpreted Avon perfectly, but it was an interesting book. And it dealt with this. And then Paul Darrow, again, like I said, he wrote a book a couple years ago that did his own take on it and what happened. which I didn't like as much. I got to be honest with you. I loved Paul, so it was fine.
Well, I see it that he lived because we hear a whole bunch
But
of
he lived,
gunshots.
yes.
I think if anyone lived, it would be Avon.
Well, he did. He did. Villa did. And then in Afterlife, Villa did. He did. Tarrant did. And then, but we just find out later with Tarrant. But I mean, it's got crazy stuff like Avon has a sister. Aurak is a real scheming worm. I mean, it was actually really good, but Avon's a little bit too. I think the writer was a little bit too cynical about Avon. You have to kind of keep some of the humanity in him, even though he was going crazy. But anyway,
have you betrayed me?
I love this scene when Avon, it's me, Blake. Stand still. He sold us, Avon. All of us, even you. Even you, by the way, interestingly enough. It's true. Avon, it's me, Blake. Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, again, the way he says the line, have you betrayed us? Have you betrayed me? The way he says that kills me every time. And then, Blake, you dumbass, you should have tried. I mean, you should have tried something. I don't know. But was Avon looking for an excuse to kill him? That's what the book Afterlife talks about. But I don't know. He could have said, I'm not. He shouldn't have moved. He should have said, when he says, I set all this up. That's bad enough. Avon, I was waiting for you. Fuck it, I'm shooting you. Boom, 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 boom.
Why?
Why did you do this?
Why?
You shouldn't have moved, though, because you got a nut with a gun in front of you. Hadn't seen you in a few years. Who's holding who just murdered a woman.
But he thinks he's sold him out. That's the thing.
Yeah, he thinks he sold him out. I definitely ain't saying. I ain't walking toward him and saying, no, I didn't sell you out. I promise. Please do not fucking shoot me. But Gareth Thomas wanted to be shot. We all know that, by the way.
Yeah. He wants that. Yeah, done, dusted. I'll come back, but only for one episode.
So I read that some wanted Avon to be definitely not me. I love Avon. Yeah, I don't want him to be dead. I want him to have ducked.
Well, whenever Blake 7 comes up in conversation on any chat, I always say Avon lives.
That's right, Disaster. David Collins. That was Modern Undead and some other. He wasn't. Three Doctor Who stories. Thank you. Yeah, I set all this up. Are you crazy saying set up in front of Avon with a gun in front of you? But it was it's just a beautiful, brilliant episode. It's
like after all that searching for him, I mean, just like, oh, God.
Yes,
damn.
What are you doing? Oh, my God. Yes, they could have easily all been stunned, which I thought they were anyway, kind of. I mean, because the way they all got shot, I don't know.
But I mean, the way it fades to black, though, I mean, it goes to black and it's just, you just hear the gunfire. And that what a way to end, though.
Villa was faking. He didn't even get shot. I know he said, fuck it. No, I'm playing dead. He's smart. No question about it. Not just because it was that way in the books, in the one, in Afterlife. But yeah, Villa faked it. I remember in that book, he and Villa eventually found Aurak, and they got this new ship and found some woman who came to them with the new ship, and he named the ship the Revenge. Avon did, and they said a revenge against whom? He said a revenge against Serverland, against the Federation, and a revenge against Blake. Anyway, interesting book. But see, in the book, the whole plot was he thought that there was an anti-Aurak device out there called Mind Machine Induced Neural Deviance, and he thought he was being manipulated and controlled to find Blake, and so it says he killed Blake to prove to himself that he couldn't be controlled.
Interesting.
Dude, it's a very weird book. But anyway. So anyway, we went through some of the top Blake 7 episodes.
Someone want to tell Matthew Pounder it's safe now.
Yes, you're safe now, Matthew. Well, let me get that picture out of there. Well, that picture doesn't say much. I mean, they could have just been having a nice conversation. So
yeah, I wonder how much Matthew actually heard. I do apologize.
Yeah, Matthew, I'm sorry. I hope we didn't spoil you, my friend.
Someone in the chat let him know.
Okay. Yes, again, I do appreciate that. Whoever let him know that. That's because we certainly didn't mean to. Yeah.
No, we just assumed everyone's sort of up to speed.
Yes, but Matthew, I envy you. If you haven't seen him yet, you're in for a treat. And I think he said he started watching. He's in the first season, I believe he had mentioned maybe earlier. I think that might have been Matthew. But anyway, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you hanging with me talking some Blake 7 episodes.
That's great. I mean, it's I've watched it twice in my life, you know, as a small child, and again, like a year or so ago, watching it from season 1 through to 4 in a matter of a few weeks, and
Nice.
you know, and I started to rewatch it again, and then obviously it got pulled. So now I'm just like, well, now it's on BritBox, so I've zero excuse. And I want to sort of get back into watching it again and enjoying it, and becoming sort of, because I do miss them. You know, it's one of those. It's one of those series where you really love the characters so much, and you live for those moments between Avon and Villa, or Avon and Aurak, and just such a wonderful ensemble. It's such a joy. You will never ever have writing like this again, and that's the sad thing about it. It's so dramatic, and the characters are, as I say, sort of very Shakespearean and archetypal and powerful and flawed and deeply suspicious of each other, and it's funny as hell. You know, that's the thing. It's so uniquely written. It's uniquely British in its humor.
Yes.
And it's so understated, and really witty, and like intelligently witty. Every turn of phrase is absolutely a joy. It's a joy.
Agreed. I love it. It's so, I mean, all the characters are great. Don't get me wrong, but yes, Avon. I mean,
Avon
it's
is
just
king. Yeah.
Avon is king. Avon is the king, absolutely. And yeah, we'll never see its like again. At least there are 52 episodes to enjoy, and it inspired a lot of things. J. Michael Straczynski, who created another show that I like a lot called Babylon 5, has often stated Blake 7 as his biggest influence on the show. Is it just like it? No. Yeah, Firefly, Farscape,
Farscape, Lex.
yeah,
and even Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I believe, had some sort of element of.
Yeah, ever since, yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, Blake 7 was influenced by Star Trek, and then Star Trek became influenced by Blake 7 later on, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's so influential. They'll never have a character like Avon again. Let's just face it. I mean, never.
He's right up there for me. My favorite two characters in existence are the Fourth Doctor and Avon. You know, like those two together are way up there, like head and shoulders above everyone else. And yeah, it will never be repeated, sadly. But it did. You know, Blake 7 set not only the precedent of this kind of Western in space kind of thing, but it also the fact that the characters were never safe. You know, they were expendable. You know, having these unpredictable deaths of main characters is now quite a common thing in modern drama, but back then it was incredibly shocking. Expanse, there's another one that was definitely influenced by Blake 7. I mean, it's so overtly influenced by Blake 7, undoubtedly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, Paul Darrow, God rest his soul.
Bless him.
Yeah, he had such a terrible ending, I think, in his life. It's awful, losing both his legs, and horrible. Tragic. But he did seem to keep his spirits. I mean, he did have a good time. I mean, he was recording Blake 7 Big Finish audios when he died, and so they never got to complete it. But they did. I think they managed to complete the story, but obviously without him. But I believe that they intend in the future to continue the story in the Blake 7 universe, but obviously with new characters and stuff. So there's, I guess, a Blake 7 legacy kind of thing.
Yep.
But it'll never be the same. I mean, even when he was in it, bless him, like the writing just lacked that kind of Robert Holmesy not Terrence Hicks. I can always do that. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of, you'll never get that kind of level of writing in the modern era. I don't think even people writing for Doctor Who these days and Blake Seven in the audios, they nod and wink to the past, but they don't seem to have the chops, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's for sure, and it is. Yeah, so enjoy it while you can, because you'll not. But while we were talking about it, at least things that are influenced by it is something. That's a good thing too.
Yeah, I mean,
but we'll never see
the Expanse. I mean, even stories like even Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. Has that kind of feel about it too. That kind of more gritty thing. And I think that I hope that now it's on BritBox, at least in the UK. I mean, hopefully it'll go transatlantic, but
I sure hope so.
It should do. I mean, it should be as big as Doctor Who. It really should. In a way, I'm kind of glad that it isn't, because it can't be bastardized. It can't be altered or modernized in that inverted commas sense. But I would like more people to know of it. I really want more people to love it and appreciate it, because they are so great. The characters are so great. The writing was impeccable, and it is a great space opera story. And I think that it deserves far more recognition than it gets. It really does. And I hope in the future people will just sit down and watch it. Now it's on BritBox. There's little excuse. If people have it, just watch it, for crying out loud.
Well, you did manage to get the great Gary of Nerdrotic. Praise be his name. Good old Gary. I love Gary.
I hounded that poor man.
I hounded him.
I paid him handsomely with super chats to get off his high horse and get on and watch some Blake Seven. Damn it, And yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's.
He promised a review. I haven't heard it yet, so come on, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, good. Well, he seems to be enjoying it when he's watching it, when he has a chance, so that's cool. Derek, I agree with that. And that is interesting. I had never thought of it, but I think Spike from Buffy was influenced by the Avon character. Yeah, I think that you could definitely find some influence in a lot of characters.
I couldn't watch Buffy. Yeah. Like a lot of 90s TV, American 90s TV turned me off. I didn't get on board with the whole Buffy thing or Charmed or any of that stuff. It just didn't interest me. Like, I think a lot of 90s TV didn't. Like, even Star Trek Next Generation bored me. I'm much more your original series guy, because that's what I grew up with. Yeah, 90s American 90s TV for me wasn't my thing at all. So I just have to say that.
I actually was a big Buffy fan. I love the show. I thought it was great. And I am as staunch an original series guy as you're going to get for the longest time. But I think because modern entertainment, which is something I just don't like much of it at all, over the past, say, 6-7 years, I was one who watched Next Generation when it came out, didn't like it as much as a lot of people. I was very critical of it. Didn't watch much of Deep Space Nine or Voyager. I liked Enterprise a lot because it was more like the original series, even though it had its faults. And now, just over the past 5-6 years, I've gone back. I have fallen in love with Next Generation. Now I must say I really love it, and I love Deep Space Nine. I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great show. Nothing will ever supplant the original series for me personally, but I really do love the other ones now. And I think it's just all this bad stuff made me go back and give things another look in a much older age than I originally watched them. And I have since I'm a Kirk Firster, man. I'm an original series guy.
He's my captain.
My captain, but I do love the other shows now. They have their faults. I mean, but Star Trek is comfort food. I can pop on any of the episode of the original.
I'm going to give Next Generation another go. I did sit down and watch the first episode.
Encounter at Farpoint, yeah.
Yeah, and it was good in the sense that it felt like the original series. It was in the same sort of vein in the way that they presented the story. But I wasn't altogether engaged with it.
It takes a while on a lot of these shows because it wasn't as good at first.
The first series was not. Yeah, it was slow.
Compared to new crap, it's a lot better. But it's well, look on DS9. I remember didn't watch much of it other than I love the Trials and Tribulations episode, of course. When they went back to the original series. I don't know if you've ever seen that one of Deep Space Nine when they went back.
Because I was kind of really put off by Next Generation. I think it sounds terrible, and I'm losing
I hear you.
Nerding geekdom points. It just didn't interest me. I did watch it when it was on. I did watch it.
That was a Deep Space Nine episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I love a lot of the imagery and the iconography of modern Star Trek. But 90s Star Trek, but it just felt too much like 90210 in space for me. And that was just like, because a lot of American TV shows at the time seemed to have that kind of formula, people sitting around having drinks and talking, not really doing anything. That's what it felt like to me. And at that age, I was more interested in going and getting blitz at nightclubs. So it was out.
I was totally the same way. The newer Treks didn't appeal to me as much until I've gotten much older, and now I like the idea that it's all about science and science babble and ideas and them solving. And again, I love the action-packed stuff as well. The original Trek was a great balance of both. They had action in episodes, and they had episodes that were all story and character. I think they do a great job. Next Generation really finds its footing toward the end of that rocky second season, and in the third season they start having some really good stories. It's not perfect. They have its ups and downs, but if you can get into the characters, you probably get hooked.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine, same deal. I remember when I went back to try to give it a chance back in 2016 because I hadn't watched much of it. I got up to like episode 14 of the first season. I'm like, it's okay. I'm kind of liking it. I'm going to stick with it. And then I saw an episode that I hated. I said, I'm out of here. I'm not watching this crap anymore. It pissed me off so bad. But I said, I didn't listen to myself. I kept going. And now I've watched a bunch of it over and over again. I really love Deep Space Nine. Now, it's not all perfect. I truly love it. Voyager, I've watched it all. I wanted to be able to say I've seen every single Trek episode of all the different series, and I did. It's just some good ones here and there. It's not my favorite. But I'm that weirdo that defends Enterprise. I love Enterprise. No, they shouldn't have made a prequel. It is an awkward fit. I love the crew. I love the cast.
It's probably less damaging than Discovery.
Oh yeah, no, way less. There's some contradictions, but the show's
even though there's no mention of Archer in anything previous.
Right. I love Archer and I love his crew, and it feels more like the original series because they're the first ship. Does it contradict certain things 30 years later? It figures that it would. I love it. Should have got 7 instead of 4.
I don't mind canon being elastic in things as long as the writing is really good and the characters are compelling. Then you can make allowances. Like with Doctor Who, you can make allowances with that because Doctor Who canon is messy as fuck. But Chibnall's retcon. Yeah. No, it's just because it's so badly done. I mean, and it's so insensitively done as well. There's not making William Hartnell the first Doctor and things like that. You're playing with fire, and you're going to get burnt.
Yeah.
Have you heard the new rumor? The new rumor now.
Yeah.
That, Whittaker might be replaced by what's her face? So I'm having a brain freeze again. I'm totally not on board today.
I don't know.
I'm
not sure about that, Chris, by the way. It may have. I can't remember.
Oh, God. No, total brain freeze. Gillian Anderson. as the new
Oh,
Doctor.
really?
Mm.
As in the X-Files, Gillian Anderson?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, I mean, first of all, Doctor's always going to be a dude to me anyway. But secondly,
That's how I feel.
a non-British person is also doesn't work.
Well, she was born in America, but she was raised in London, so she does have an English accent.
Oh, all right. Well, then there you go. I won't be watching it anyway, probably.
And thank you, Matthew Pounder. That was really
very nice. Thank you, Matthew, for that.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being here, Matthew. I appreciate everyone being here. But watch like some of this. We reached, brother Derek. I still have all the tapes. I still have all of my tapes, and I can't nothing to play them on now. But I don't know why I had such a change of heart on the other Treks, because it was I'm talking about I was pretty much a religious fanatic when it comes to the original Trek and nothing else. And now I really got it. I'm having a ball. I can pop any episode of Next Gen or
I think I need to do a rediscovery.
DS9. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, it could be something.
Rediscovery, not as in discovery.
No, don't do that.
I think but rediscover, 90s Trek.
Well, it's just that when you watch or hear how bad, when you see something as horrible as Picard and Discovery, and then you go back and watch Star Trek, where an episode where they're trying to solve their problems in intelligent ways. Sure, there's action. Sure, there's darkness sometimes, but it all adheres to the Star Trek ideal. I think that matters. And
the more I learn about Patrick Stewart, the less kind of like. The less I feel I want to watch Next Generation, because I feel like the more I know about him, the more I'm put off by it. That he will eventually just betray that character anyway. And from what I did watch it, when it was on at the time. I liked his captain, and then I just found the way he's behaved lately, that it's like, well, why should I give it the time of day if he doesn't really mean it? It just, do you know what I mean? It's a weird one.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's been sort of dirtied.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. It doesn't bother me when I watch one, but you know what I do think about now, because I hated Picard so much? I think about, good God, this guy is even a better actor than I thought he was, because he did not give a shit about this show or this character. We know that now. And when you watch him as Picard in some episodes, that man acts his ass off to the point I'm like, good God, he's fantastic. But it just proves you can be good at something and be a complete shithead. And it's a talent for acting. And of course, a lot of it's the writing too. Yes, the acting's there, but Picard was very well written for. He's no Kirk, because no one is. Kirk is, in fact, not only Kirk. I love the triumvirate, the Trinity. Kirk, Spock, McCoy are like a gestalt in a sense. They're one character. Break off any piece, and it's not as potent. I love them. Of the
Absolutely
three,
right. Yeah,
the three.
They kind of mess with that with the movies, that sort of dynamic.
I love it though. Yeah, I mean it's a Kirk, Spock, McCoy thing. Yeah. So.
Well, didn't someone make a psychological analysis, like the id and the super id and the ego, and like the three, the triumvirate is sort of those characters play the parts of those different id, super id, and ego, and then when they tried to big up Uhura's character, it kind of broke up the triumvirate, so it became sort of disjointed somewhat. It's quite an interesting thesis, within the movies.
Oh yeah, well that's not Trek anyway.
Yeah,
that's what I call Steino, Star Trek in name only.
Well, the original cast films.
Oh yeah, but you're talking about the Jar Jar Abrams rival?
No, yes, I am. Yes.
Oh yeah, if it's in the 09, that's not Star Trek to me personally. That's Steino, Star Trek in name only. Jar Jar Abrams.
I mean, they messed around. They messed around with the three, the three main aspects of the core team. And I think that's true, because if you look at how they sort of. I mean, we had Sulu and we had Chekhov and we had Uhura, but they were in the original series. They weren't so prevalent as they made them out to be later on.
No,
and I think in the sort of remake, they kind of made them into a sort of team of 6 kind of thing, and it just didn't feel right. It felt off kilter, didn't it?
No, absolutely. Yeah. It just doesn't work. By the way, Eastwood, I think my hypothesis is, and I have nothing to back it up. It's just a gut feeling. I don't think Patrick Stewart hated the character when he was making it at the time. I think he was fine back then. He used to talk, very highly of it. But I think as the years went by, he's
Do you
decided
think he's just trying to stay relevant?
Yeah, he's crapping all over it. And he agreed to do that stupid Picard shit because he was an old and he wanted to do a Logan deal. Old man Picard, like Logan, old man Wolverine type thing. And he thought that was cute and relevant, and he wanted to preach. He's an old, senile old fool. When he plays Picard, I'm sorry, I don't think you could act that well, put that kind of heart into a character, and not have it mean something to you at the time. He just looks back now and he's shitting on the character. But I'll tell you another thing. Things you hear, I bet a lot of people have told him, look, you have trashed. You have dumped all over a character that just means a lot to so many people. You should be ashamed of your fucking self. And I think a lot of people, because now he's all talking like he's not all happy with the way the show went. Well, you old fool, you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
I think I would
talks, right?
would not be. Yeah, true. I would not be surprised if he regrets it. I could be wrong, but he'll never admit it. But he certainly acted like, I didn't know they were going to do this to me and put me in an android body. Yeah, well, dude.
I haven't watched it. I refuse to watch it. The more I learn about it,
No, you're lucky.
The more it disgusts me. Listen, I don't have the same reverence for it because it at the time it wasn't the show that engaged me that much. But I did enjoy watching when it was on, but I just wasn't as into it, But I mean, it just seems so weird. It's just like something in the water or something. Or either that, or we just stepped into an alternative universe where everything's topsy-turvy and weird shit happens like this. I don't know. It just seems so incredibly disrespectful, and I see the upset it causes within the Star Trek fandom, and it just resonates with me with what's going on in Doctor Who, and across the board you've got the Star Trek fans having their thing torn down, and it is an organized, concerted effort to destroy our franchises. It's anything traditionally masculine, and that's not to say women can't enjoy it and be part of it too, but it is intrinsically a masculine thing, I think. And I think it's these extreme feminists just want to come in and go, well, if we can't have it, we're going to destroy it, or we can have it and destroy it.
Yeah,
it's right. Just like they just don't want men to have a thing. They don't. They want to move in and occupy that space. And they talk about colonialism. You're it. You're the colonialist. You're the one squatting in these franchises, knowingly destroying these things that predominantly men enjoy. And I'm not saying that women don't enjoy it, but a lot of women who aren't on board with this crazy agenda love these things because of what they were, not because of this empowerment thing where they don't want to see these things destroyed either, because they like strong male lead characters and things like that.
That's right.
Masculine traits. I think it's just a complete myth that women want to see these other women on screen because it somehow represents them. They're on. No, I don't think that's true at all. They want to see hot-looking guys in tight uniforms or whatever doing their thing. Like men want to see women in tight uniform thing, and some women too, some men like to see other men.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't need to deconstruct everything to make it fit this fucking ridiculous narrative that will be dated very, very quickly.
No, that's exactly right. No, I got you there. That's for sure. Well, look, I'm going to start saying some thank yous here to everyone who showed up. We've been on for a good while now, and we got. Well, let's see who we have. Of course, the great Marks. He popped in earlier. My good buddy Paulie from Latino Slant. We thank Claude for popping in earlier. He was here. Menimus was here. There are going to be so many people that popped in. I forget people, but Eastland Burkholder, thank you so much for being here. Chris Persia, the great Chris Persia, the master wrencher, the wrench supreme. Thank you so much. Darren McManus, I am honored to have you stopped in, sir, so much. Thank you. Disaster Area, thank you for stopping in. I cannot thank you enough. Matthew Pounder, great to see you here.
And good luck with enjoy the rest of Blake 7. I hope we didn't spoil it too much. I don't know how much you
we start season 4 soon, so yeah, I hope I hope he enjoys that. But yeah, sorry, I hope we didn't spoil it too much.
Oh, you'll enjoy it anyway, it doesn't matter. You know?
I mean, yeah.
Even as when I saw it originally, I was very, very small. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a thing that happens to a lot of Blake 7 people, like who want to either rewatch it because they loved it as a kid and couldn't remember everything, and then wanted to rewatch it, or people who never heard of it, or people who had heard of it but wanted to watch it anyway. Every damn time someone spoils the ending. Every time. I've seen it happen across the board so many times. So many of it happened to me. Because obviously, when I first saw it, I was very small. But I said to someone, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna rewatch Blake 7 because I hadn't seen it since whenever." And they were like, "Oh yeah, and such happens at the end." And you're like, "You fuck."
Yeah.
And it's just like, "Oh, thanks," And then you kind of think, "Oh God." Yeah, and it happened with Gary as well. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was Critical Drinker. I think Gary was on his stream, and I did a super chat about Blake 7, and he revealed the ending. It's it's the show where such and such happens at the end. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake! I'm trying to get him to watch it. No, you just revealed that.
No, you're there, man. Well, the way it goes sometimes, but I'm glad we didn't. I hope we didn't spoil it. Well, and we did talk about it.
Just enjoy the characters and the writing.
Watch them anyway. Yeah, you'll love it. Yeah.
It
never spoils it for me when I watch it for the 15 millionth time. So, yeah, we're good. But again, thanks. Listen, also, was it Douglas Oberg popped in earlier, I believe. If I'm forgetting anyone, I'm so sorry. But thank you so much. You were all amazing. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you. It's nice to see some familiar faces.
Indeed. By the way, let's do it again. Let's talk some Blake 7 again one time. Let's do some Doctor Who or whatever. If you can think of anything else, let us do it again sometimes. I appreciate you because I know you're busy. You do a lot of different shows and stuff. And
not that busy anymore because we're on a hiatus for a couple of weeks because it's Jewish New Year, so Rabbi's not going to be free to do the classic watch songs, and it just so happens to happen before my selection.
I gotcha.
Damn it! But
I gotcha.
When we come back in a couple of weeks, we'll be doing Planet of Evil.
Wasn't okay. Planet of Evil, love it. Wasn't Noel doing some show today, or no? Did he?
No, I probably missed that one. I just know that there was the rumor thing that.
No, I mean, as a guest shot, I don't think he was doing one on his thing, but I think he said he was on someone else's show, but I can't remember what he said. But anyway, hail to Noel out there. Good dude. I appreciate being on him.
Good old
Noel. Yeah, love you, Noel, there. And thanks for having me on the show a couple times, and I appreciate it. He's got a great channel, by the way. In the description below, if you haven't been to the TARDIS Zone and you're a Doctor Who fan, go subscribe to Noel's channel. And the channels of a bunch of my friends are on there. And, of course, Paulie Latino Slant popped in earlier, my good friend. He will be doing 2 shows tonight. He's got the regular Latino Slant.
I saw him on the stream with the Purple Valkyrie.
Yes, he's been on with the Purple Valkyrie. By the way, I love Purple Valkyrie. What a beautiful, wonderful lady. The Valkyries are fantastic.
They're great.
Yeah, they are truly amazing. I love them. There is but I got some links down there, some other friends in there. Of course, the great Loki, my lovely friend Eris, and some other ones down there. Retro Blasting, my great friend Michael. That's a great. And if you love 80s, guys. I love the Retro Blasters. Yeah, I mean, my great friend Michael with Retro Blasting, who did a show on The Empire Strikes Back with me a couple of weeks ago. I'm chopping some some excerpts from that show that you will all. I mean, one of them, he gave a great speech about Luke Skywalker, which is definitive, needs to be heard by everyone, especially Disney, about why Luke Skywalker is wonderful and why Disney sucks for what they did to him. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And he is my Star Wars.
For Luke.
He's my Star Wars go-to guy, my Star Wars guru. Retro Blasting is a great channel, everyone. If you're interested in 80s toys and cartoons and things like that, please go subscribe to my friends over there. And thank you so much, everyone who has been here. I had a wonderful time. And Lee, if I may call you Lee.
Of course.
I could call you Prob, but that'd be weird.
No.
Oh, problematic one. Hey, Probby? No.
Probby. Oh my
Probby,
God.
there you go. Now, Lee, thank you so much for being here. I had a wonderful
Not
time.
the mind prob.
Yeah, not the mind prob. Thank you. And everyone, let's see, I will
I am
thanks
problematic,
to the
Chris.
great yes, this lovely intro outro made for me by the great Stone Loki of Loki's Morning of Submissives. I appreciate it, Loki.